was always very interested to meet you. I'd heard so much about you from Vespa. If she hadn't killed herself, we would have had you too.
Are you going to tell us who you work for?
The first thing you should know about us is that we have people everywhere.
I thought I could trust you. You said you weren't motivated by revenge.
I'm motivated by my duty.
I think you're so blinded by inconsolable rage that you don't care who you hurt. When you can't tell your friends from your enemies, it's time to go.
You don't have to worry about me.
Restrict Bond's movements. Put a stop on his passports. Find Bond.
How long have I got?
30 seconds.
That doesn't give us a lot of time.
Quantum of Solace is a 2008 spy film and the 22nd in the James Bond series produced by Eon Productions. Directed by Mark Forster and written by Neil Purvis, Robert Wade and Paul Haggis. It is the sequel to Casino Royale from 2006 and stars Daniel Craig in his second appearance as fictional MI6 agent James Bond. In the film, Bond teams up with Camille Montes to stop Dominic Green from monopolizing the Bolivian freshwater supply.
The monumental success of Casino Royale left fans and critics alike in no doubt that Daniel Craig was the perfect successor to the role of secret agent 007. It's also set expectation levels for Bond's 22nd outing in Quantum of Solace at an all-time high, a responsibility the producers have entrusted to Swiss-German director Mark Forster.
The character Daniel Craig in Casino Royale was very different than to before. It brought the Bond back to reality and back to humanity. We can connect to Bond again.
In Casino Royale, he met Vesper, who stopped him in his tracks. And with her betrayal, he totally shuts down emotionally.
The Quantum of Solace begins right after Casino Royale ended. It was the touchstone for the story and to take Bond to a new place.
We've got expectation against us now, which can be double-edged. So we've got to make this one better. So there's a lot more work to do on this one. Or it seems that way. Or maybe I've just got selective memory about the last one, because the last one seems sort of a walk in the park compared with this one.
Shooting begins on the 3rd of January 2008, the start of a daunting 6 months schedule for the crew.
One of the main things about watching a Bond movie has always been, where does it take you? Not just where it emotionally takes you, but where it physically takes you. It sets the tone, it sets the feeling, it sets a mood on the set.
I think, part of the excitement of doing a Bond movie is going on location and going to places that, you wouldn't ordinarily go to.
In the months leading up to the shoot, key crews scout out potential shooting sites across the world. They need to find locations that both fulfill the requirements of the script and have the sort of visual impact that Mark Forster is looking for.
The world has become so much smaller. People are so much more familiar with the world. Through the internet, they're so much more connected. People travel more. So to find really original Bond locations is tricky.
Mark felt very strongly that he wanted us to go on real locations because he wanted to set a certain visual style.
That's the way the film is going to unfold. It's going to be on the road a great deal. We're scheduled to be on the road from February until May, really.
This is scenes 81 through 84. What we're trying to do when we reconceive the sequence is put it all the action happening in one location. Once we find the location that we think might be it opens up a whole new batch of logistics, just in terms of the availability of these locations, and if we're going to have to shoot there during the night or during the day, and what it's going to need to control these locations in terms of shutting down roads.
The hardest part about locations, I think, is just getting there, acclimating to it. It takes twice or three times as long to get things done. It's a totally different animal than the comfort of being here at Pinewood Studios.
Latin America is a place that the Bond films have not visited for a very long time, and this was an opportunity to go there.
We are in Panama now. We're here because, Panama is very diverse and can give us different looks we want for the film. Most of it will be shot for Bolivia.
Filming in cities is always tricky.
I'm glad we did stuff in the streets because it's got so much like life and character to them. It's really brilliant locations.
Panama has been fallen over themselves to sort of to help us out.
Architecturally, Panama proved a good match for both Bolivia and Haiti, but Mark was keen to get every aspect of the location right.
It's crucial for me that all the details fit every location, and it starts from extras to set dressing to clothing to everything. And I think it's really crucial that the extras look like they really belong here and live in that part of the world.
Each tiny part informs the audience. It tells us where we are.
Mi nombre es Félix Peñaranda y hago el papel de taxista en la película.
And everywhere that we've gone, we've searched out people who weren't necessarily actors at all. The extras were meant to be Bolivian. So our extras lady there brought in people who were from the Emberas tribe.
They are originally from Darien, which is just in the border of Panama with Colombia. But there are some of them that have emigrated to Panama City. They live in the Chagres River, which is like a national park reserve.
It's 5 a.m. These extras will travel an hour upriver before taking a 2-hour bus ride to the set in Panama City.
The remit is always, I think, with a Bond movie is that for an audience we have to be taken somewhere. It's important that we see this character go to places that make you look at the world in a different way. It starts in film time about 20 minutes after the last one finished. And it takes us to the conclusion, an emotional conclusion, but also well on the way to finding out who the bad guys are, and the bad guys being this organization, which is having a serious go at taking over the world.
He's just the most marvellous actor, and acting with a very good actor is grist to the mill, and he's very relaxed, Daniel. And it can't be very relaxing for him, but he has the knack of making you feel relaxed when you're acting with him, and that's a very nice trait.
I'm playing Fields, Agent Fields, and she works for MI6, and she works for the British consulate in Bolivia, and she basically just has to look after Bond, or tries to.
It's hard for me to judge what kind of stamp I'm going to put on this movie. I think I let the audience decide that. I just have my vision of the film and will pull that through and make the movie I think is the most interesting and most fascinating to watch.
I was incredibly excited when he got involved. I mean, if you watch his movies, his versatility is quite astounding. You look at Monsters Ball to Neverland to Kite Runner, it's like they're all such different and equally wonderful movies. And that he's bringing to this in spades, because he's very particular. Every shot counts. Every part of this process is important to him, and it's very easy to work with people like that.
But first, as with every Bond movie, interchangeable far-flung locations are a staple of each story. And for Solace, that meant more globetrotting than any of its predecessors.
I chose, 6 countries where we were basically shooting at Panama, Chile, Mexico, Italy, Austria, and England, London. And in all those countries, I was looking basically, I found sort of, for me, iconic Bond locations, because locations in Bond films are sort of characters in themselves, and they have sort of this emotional tapestry in themselves. So it was really important to find these really beautiful and interesting locations across the world.
Well, again, it was Mark who was, insistent on it, and I think it was absolutely the right decision. Watching Bond films as a kid, whether or not the ones they're running on the television or going to the cinema and seeing them, it was always about the locations to a degree. And they did that very early on with the movies. That's kind of as much part of the Bond movies as anything, as a part of the Martinis and the Aston Martins.
It gets harder and harder because the world gets smaller, people travel more, they're more familiar with the internet, so you find these stunning locations which and you just hope that they allow you to shoot there. And like at the beginning, the producer said, "You really want to go there as well?" And I said, "Yes, we need to. I mean, look, it will pay off. You need that kind of aesthetic and look for the film. It will make it feel bigger and more interesting and engaging to an audience."
Transporting people to these places, that's part of it's part of the character of the film. Finding these locations that are out of the way and look amazing on screen is crucial. It's also, it's also great to travel to them. I mean, Jesus, it's great to work in the places. Both Mark and I said we just want to make a really beautiful film, so let's go to great locations and photograph them.
And completing the Bond cocktail is returning composer David Arnold, who scored the 4 previous 007 movies and whom this time enlisted the help of a unique duo to provide the eagerly anticipated theme tune.
Gets you in the mood. A lot of the time when you're writing music for a Bond film, you're kind of looking at it from a certain distance. For this one, there's a lot of ambiguity emotionally in the film, the theme of, who you can trust and who you can't trust. And so there's a lot of internal kind of energy for the first time. So a certain amount of it became designing sounds which felt like they were coming from somewhere sort of deep inside. I'll just build up parts one at a time, and then on top of that, start putting brass on, putting woodwind on, and so this is like a synthetic version of what the orchestra will be playing. Jack White and Alicia Keys are performing the song, and Jack wrote and produced it. What's intriguing about it was the idea that why would those two ever get together?
That's when new ideas generate. You take two things that aren't supposed to be together and you mix them up, and then something new happens.
Another ringer with the slick trigger finger for Her Majesty.
There's kind of his dark style that I'm able to join into, and then there's my kind of belting, strong, soulful scatting over it, and harmonies that blare up, and so we both were able to throw our mixes in there and create the gumbo.
A woman walking by, a drop in the water, a look in the eyes, a phone on the table, a man on the side, or something.
Movie scores are become very elaborate and grandiose. I was trying to break it down to something a lot more direct and from the gut.
Oh, that's cool.
So, With the movie wrapped and ready for release, Mark Forster is relieved the pressure of directing one of the most highly anticipated sequels of 2008 is over.
The pressure is so intense and the workload is so intense that I did enjoy it tremendously, but at the same time, after a day of shooting, I still go back into my hotel room and I have to open my laptop and look at the latest cut of the editors and give my notes and work on the edit, because we only have 6 weeks to cut the movie once I completed principal photography. So you are constantly working, and you basically don't have a life. You just live in this sort of world of Bond, and that's all the world there is. And it gets very, almost in a sense, you start to forget to breathe. And I just have to remind myself, you have to breathe, because you start to start breathing shallow, and you're not really living life anymore. And that was, in the same time, I'm so happy I did the movie. I'm so happy I lived through it. But I'm really even more than ecstatic to have my life back.
In Italy, the second unit make a start on the dramatic opening car chase. Garda's winding lakeside roads are one of 2 locations planned to stage the sequence.
One of the big challenges of this chase was that we're on these 2-lane roads. It's very, very hard to shoot a chase, with just 2 lanes available. We took a look at the ultimate arm, and it's a remote crane mounted to the top of a high-speed vehicle.
This is a 5-axis gyro-stabilized remote control crane. We can obtain speeds of 200 kilometers an hour. We're able to get inches away from the action safely.
Action vehicle department has been doing a pretty phenomenal job. Cars will be dragged off the set, and 2 hours later, they come back running again. So if you count the redos, we've probably wrecked 14 Aston Martins.
The second location for the chase was on the snaking roads of Carrara's stunning marble quarry.
It is a tricky situation here because it's dusty, slippery, and also all the roads are sort of paved with big slabs of marble. So if you get it wrong, there's no sort of forgiving.
Hello, I'm Michael Wilson, producer of The Quantum of Solace. Over the next few weeks, you'll be seeing on this website several blogs coming in from members of our crew. They're the people that actually do the work, the hard work, day to day. And you'll have people from like the unit nurse or one of our assistant directors or people from the art department. And they'll be telling their stories, how it is to be on location with our film. I hope you enjoy it.
My name is Cliff Fleming. I'm the helicopter support pilot and camera helicopter pilot. We help support the ground cameras by carrying the ground cameras and their crew out in positions. We sling load the nets full of camera equipment and survival equipment in case for some reason we can't get them off the top of the mountains. We take out about 4 or 5 passengers at a time with the helicopter and put them in the remote sites.
Help! Help!
We didn't realize that the sites were going to be quite so remote, and the only way to get in and out is that by using the helicopter. The upper positions we've ranged from anywhere from 1,000 feet to 3,000 foot peaks. About enough room to put the skids down on a rock top, and then the crews get out safely, and then close the doors, and I fly away, leaving them there.
My name's Michael Lerman. I'm the first assistant director on Quantum of Solace.
Let's roll sound. We're rolling.
A lot of people view the first assistant director as kind of the taskmaster on set, the person that's cracking the whip and pushing the crew. It's not good enough. My goal on a day-to-day basis is to achieve everything the director wants in the allotted time.
We'll do this with the crowd. Action!
The first thing I do is I take the script and I break it down.
The next sequence is what happens in the Grand Hotel.
All of the cast, the props, the stunts, the special effects.
This is the area here where in the script, the railing.
And while I'm doing that, we're going to numerous locations trying to pick just the right one, that fits all the requirements that the scene dictates.
Talking about painting all of these buildings white to try to match one of our other locations. We'd probably be here for about half a day and be importing in about 50 American-looking extras for this scene.
I've done a lot of movies where the end of the movie, the finale of the movie, is the big set piece. And on this movie, it seems we have one of those sequences every week. It never stops. You're never in a room with two people talking for that long. Mark has asked me to be a waiter in this scene, but I did say if I'm going to appear in front of the camera, then I want to be shot.
3, 2, 1, action!
My name's Ben Cook. I'm a stuntman, and I pretty much take care of gang. I start 6 to 8 weeks before principal shooting. Gary tells us what he sort of wants. We go away and prepare things, get Daniel in there working with the stunts. We want it to have a certain look and a feel, and we want it to be sort of a realistic, brutal, but someone who's still obviously got the training as well, and we weren't afraid for Bomb to get hit. He's probably got 3 to 4 doubles. There's a few reasons why he would have a number of doubles. There's 2 units running, there's people that have got better skills in different fields, specialists, because you're pushing things to the limit, so you want to get the right person for the job.
So what I want you to do, right, is as we come in and we hit the brakes, I want you to fly forward, right, straight into Marvin, do the fight as we did, as we rehearsed, okay? So that'll be the shot, yeah? Good? All right, we're good with that? Okay, stand by, we're ready to do this. Let's turn over, let's roll the cameras. Go for it.
My name is Terry Bamber. I'm the second unit production manager. Julie, bring my phone. Bring my phone. Phone never stops ringing when you're trying to do worksheets and you're trying to work out a plan. What did I say? Got a wonderful team on the production. In fact, in the second unit production office, it's virtually run without my help. Some might say in spite of me. I mean, look at my desk. I'll have to ring him back. Oh, it's gone. That's it there. Yeah, no, the green screen. The green screen for the big... And then I need you up here as soon as I can. Me on my own. Julie's tied up with everything. Hannah's not really doing much help. I need help here. It is very stressful. I tend to cope with a little bit of Coca-Cola now and again. And Stracciatella ice cream is a very good way. Adam, I'm trying to make a film here. No, I'm not getting an interview. I'm actually doing some work. Camera happens to be rolling while I'm doing some work. Would you please go and see Mark about the DVD? Never employ your godson. G-A-C-I-A-B-O-U-N-N-A-I-L-O-N. See, the trouble is, this computer is, I've done so much work on it that all the keys have rubbed away, so I can't tell where the N and the M is. It's pure guesswork. And then people say to me, why none of my emails make any sense? Barbara Broccoli, our producer, is a wonderful, wonderful lady, has said that she won't ever employ me again. But I can understand that.
My name is Kevin Howard, and I'm the visual effects designer on Quantum of Solace. Visual effects are kind of the glue department. Everything that's impossible becomes our problem. The goal, I think, is primarily to do as much of it in camera as you can, and yet get the most exciting shots you can get. We had to do a number of falls. There are supposed to be 50-foot long falls, and there's only 25 feet to fall at. If it's 25 feet and you fall down to the end of this thing, you only have like 8 feet to go. Why don't you jump? Well, so you have to add another 30 feet. So it doesn't look like you just want to jump, because we can stretch out the set. It's still kind of a monster shot, because it's falling from the top of a set where you see Sienna in the background, and then you fall through the glass. The glass is all real that they hit. Everything else about it is CG. And then they fall through onto a real set with a CG set behind it, and all these handoffs as you go. They really did that stunt. It just didn't happen there.
What defines Bond? It's those aggressive trumpet stabs, that slightly jazzy drum sound. It's a soaring string line. It's rich, lustrous trombone and French horn chords. It's that evil, dark, twangy guitar. You know, all of those things, I think, would suggest, you know, the sound of James Bond. That theme, I think, somehow tells you that he is going to be victorious. You know, that he's going to win. If you play it in a scene where he's in any real danger, it kind of dissolves any tension, because you're just waiting for him to get out of it. The reason why we didn't do it on Casino Royale, obviously, is because he hadn't earned it at that point. You know, he hadn't become James Bond that had earned and deserved that music.
Bond may still be working to earn his theme, but he's certainly working it in his suit.
When is the next flight to London?
Tomorrow morning.
Well, then we have all night.
I was very anxious that we would have a really strong look for Daniel, because I wanted to do those sort of 60s mohair tonic suits with quite tight waists and big long vents at the back and straight trousers. I wanted it to be quite a tight silhouette.
Quantum of Solace is somehow more direct, you know, it's less concerned with the trappings at the side, you know, it's less concerned with detail, and his eye is always on where am I going and what do I have to do, what's the job, and everything else is kind of contained, and then occasionally it will explode. And so the music definitely follows the contours of the character, but I think, you know, the success of the character in this film and the last one is largely down to Daniel's performance.
And with a leaner sound comes a leaner, more streamlined 007.
This time round, his trainer trained him slightly differently, so that they knew the limits of what would look great being muscular, but not throw a suit out. If you throw it out, if you've got too many muscles, you'll have the shoulders and then bulgy bits here, which in order to correct them, you have to make the shoulders wider, and then you look ludicrous. So, I mean, they kind of trained his body to be brilliant for a suit. You know, it took us forever to get exactly the right white shirt. And when you look at it, it'll look very simple, but to get there, it's sort of 3 or 4 different collar looks. You know, we're just testing until you get it absolutely right. The right buttons, the right fabric, the right cuffs, all of that. I would hate to dress an actor and impose the stuff from outside. It's got to come from inside of them. If somebody doesn't like their clothes, you can tell in a second, because even if you force them to wear them, they'll sort of... But Daniel gets it. He really does.
I've made deliberate attempts to move it forward in certain places and to be quite retro about it in others. And I think you can accept the moving forward bit if you have this kind of safety net of you know, this sounds like perhaps it used to, therefore the next part, which doesn't sound like it used to at all, somehow you're kind of more readily prepared for something else to happen. When you write music for a film, you look for the truth in everything, and if it's not true, it's fraudulent, and people can tell when it's fraudulent. And when you write music, people can tell when it's fake and when it's fraudulent. And so all of a sudden I find myself looking at a film that I believe and I believe in, and I believe that that character exists, and that just made it that much easier.
Principal photography on Quantum of Solace began on the 7th of January this year, and with this autumn's worldwide release and immovable deadline, the cast and crew didn't have time to dawdle on a shoot which took them to 6 different countries, more than any other in the history of the Bond movies. However, substantial elements of the film were shot at 007's home from home, Pinewood Studios in Buckinghamshire, and it was there that I joined director Mark Forster, whose distinguished and diverse CV includes Monsters Ball, Finding Neverland and The Kite Runner, along with his cast and crew as they tackled the job in hand. Mark, lovely to meet you here. This is it's exciting for me to be down on the Bond set. Now, you've had a very varied and successful CV as a director, but nothing that immediately screams Bond movies to me. So many might have thought you were an unusual choice. How did you feel when they approached you?
I thought they got the wrong director first. I was sitting there and said, are you sure I'm the right director for this? But the thing is, I always was a Bond fan. I loved the early Bond especially. And, I thought I like to jump from genre to genre. So it was really, I thought, another chapter in my sort of as a filmmaker and another challenge to do something I haven't done before.
Eon Productions are quite well known for keeping the same people with them movie after movie. They have a team they trust and designers and so on. How is it for you being the newcomer in that group?
It was really good. One of the reasons I wanted to do a film is because I met with Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson, and they allowed me to bring some of my own people and change some of the people that have worked in the past, which was really important to me because I have my little family I bring along, and they wanted sort of a different vision and expanded the vision from Casino Royale.
One member of the Forster family climbing aboard the good ship Bond is Oscar-winning production designer Dennis Gassner.
Come on in. So we're inside the Puerto Ladunas set that obviously has been exploded, and it was designed to explode and motivate our James Bond character to this section.
At the moment we're doing the final sequence, which is the destruction of the villain's lair, if you like. In all the walls are these fuel cells, and they start this chain reaction of explosions all the time while Bond and Camille and the villain are having their little fights.
Well, today is one of the last scenes of the movie, and it's a big fight. Basically, we're all in fights. We've been training for a long time for this fight. We're fighting for real. These are fake, but I'm not going to show you the ones that are real.
They sort of play up to it, but they love it, sort of thing, after we say cut, the enjoyment on their face, knowing that they was in there. The training is hard, and it can sort of wear you down, sort of thing, but, we both, or they both know what they sort of let themselves in for,
I had no idea what was waiting for me. They told me, we're going to train you. I said, oh, okay, I'll do a few exercises, but that's not what they meant. They actually really meant it. Because usually people exaggerate when they tell you something like that. But this was, they didn't exaggerate at all.
Daniel always jokes about it, sort of things like, why am I doing this and not the stunt double? But he actually really does enjoy doing it.
You had to do it. It was 45 feet in the air. It was probably 16 feet dropping, 8 into a balcony. He's not terribly comfortable with heights, I don't think. And so my admiration for him only increases. Delivering a good product, I think, is really important for him. Sort of his duty to his fans.
I think on Bond films, they want to try and do as much as they can for real, and they always dream up, different challenges.
These 7 brand spanking Aston Martins.
Car chases and boat chases.
This is going to be so much fun.
A really nice sequence in that DC-3.
You've done our utmost to smash them out of them.
And big explosions.
Give them a pile of spare parts. Yeah, thank you very much.
Nearing the end now, it must be quite nice to see the end inside. Confident, happy with what you've achieved?
I'm very happy with the movie so far, and I hope people will love it, and I hope they will, like it as much as Casino Royale, or more, hopefully, who knows. But I think it's just, basically, I feel very good about the dailies when I watch it. I think that the character moved on, and I think it will be an exciting film. One final thing, there's still time for you to change the title, of course. Thunder Pussy is what I've been suggesting to people. Any interest in taking up for that? That's the thing. I think Thunder Pussy definitely has a ring to it. Yes. And but at least people know what it means. But you don't think like Quantum of Solace, people suddenly
I'm worried that you're going to get an art crowd turning up. That's all.
But you should watch the trailer and you feel like, oh, Quantum of Solace. It doesn't sound so arty anymore.
I know it will make sense to me once I see it.
Yeah.
How lovely to spend time with you. Thank you, Mark. Good luck with the movie.
Thank you, Johnson.
Can't
Good
wait to see
you.
it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bond is back for one hell of a ride. New in theaters.
He'd be a pretty cold bastard who didn't want revenge for the death of someone he loved.
This man and I have some unfinished business.
Quantum of Solace is the latest James Bond movie starring Daniel Craig. This time, 007 is looking for action and very little else.
Get in!
All right.
Careful with this one, Mr. Bond. She won't go to bed with you unless you give her something she really wants.
I think someone wants to kill you.
When I accepted it, I was thinking, okay, I want to set an action sequence in all the 4 elements, like water, fire, air, earth. So that's what's sort of my idea. And I was thinking the film should feel like a bullet. It starts and it doesn't end until the last frame. You're on the edge of your seat. And that's what I wanted to create, and that's sort of the pacing I demanded of myself in the script.
It was tough physically, it was tough mentally for everybody, it was tough emotionally for everybody, because we were, apart from anything else, we were away from home for such a long period of time, and that always is difficult. But you kind of all club together, you become a kind of family away from home, and you look after each other and beat each other up and argue with each other like you always do, you know.
Coming up in theaters, we've got the newest installment of the James Bond franchise, this time directed by Mark Forster, who's had a really eclectic filmography. And one thing the studio probably wouldn't want you to know is that the film went far over budget and actually cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $230 million, which is enormous. And apparently Forster wanted to approach this one as just a straight-ahead action film. And it plays that way. From the opening frames, you're thrust right in the middle of a car chase. There's crazy stunts throughout the movie, and it's just like a shotgun blast. It just goes. There's brief, very brief passages of conversations with M, but mainly it is Bond on a mission and taking along a hot young woman with him who's also on a bit of a vengeance kick.
I'm doing a lot of the stunts, but to my mind, I don't feel like I'm doing any more. It's just that we started something in the last one, and it was just about sort of solidifying all the skills that we learned and sort of the things that, getting my face in there, that was really it. And once we could get my face in there, I knew, knowing how far I could push it, the moment that the really skilled people step in and take over and do the really skilled bits, is that's the key to this, I think.
I just worked out non-stop. I just worked with stunt guys. They just trained me, and so it wasn't like a workout in gym. It was different. It was fight training, doing different types of fall, kicking, hitting. Just fighting. I've never done action scenes before. It's my first time. We really worked with professionals. That's what it is. It makes a difference. People, they just trained me so hard. It would be surprising if I couldn't do it by myself at the end.
We have aerial cameras. We have 2 cameras on an Aerostar, and we have space cams on helicopters. And then we have some very long lenses, up to 1600 millimeter, that go on the ground to give us a real base and sense of speed and how close these guys are to the ground. For every 1 camera position up here in the mountains, it takes 3 helicopter trips in and 3 helicopter trips out.
Because our locations are so far from the airport, we have remote location, our base camps.
Physically getting to the canyon base camps is a daily challenge for the ground crew. Road access is often, at best, basic.
About up here, there's no sand up here.
You're going to have to hang here for a second. He's going to have to come back and get you. Just wait here, let us baja this out, and then Gabby will come back with a sensible route for you. Other guards ahead of you, there's kind of a split. There are other guards just right in this area here.
I'll pick up the different people from those locations. We take out about 4 or 5 passengers at a time with the helicopter and put them in the remote sites. We sling load the nets full of camera equipment and survival equipment in case for some reason we can't get them off the top of the mountains.
With guns on the back and no registration numbers, and a country where you have to have a permit to do anything, we've been treated with great suspicion.
As the main unit continue in Panama, a small airport just outside the Mexican town of San Felipe is the base for the aerial unit. Filming is about to commence, shooting a complicated dogfight sequence featuring a low-tech vintage DC-3.
These are propeller-driven planes, not jet planes. It's the type of planes that drug runners would have, and so it fits the location.
Everything you choose, if it's cars or planes or boats, everything has a character.
We needed a place that had the kind of mountains that might match the ones that we'd find in Chile, but because of the equipment we needed, we couldn't take it all down to northern Chile. It would have just been too difficult logistically to get it there.
We went to a place that never rains and the weather's always calm. And I think I proceeded to lose a third of my shoot time because of weather issues.
Running out of weather options at this point, as far as wind is concerned.
Michael, just tell me what's happening.
Too windy, we're going home. Leaving our stuff here to come back in the morning. When they're flying 10 feet off the ground and their windshield change the altitude of the plane by 20 feet, that's an obvious problem.
You're having to counteract these forces that's beating you up, plus keep track and do what you're supposed to be doing down the canyon. But it's the wind currents are just pounding you from right to left. Sometimes the only thing between the bottom of the airplane and the ground is just the top of the cactus.
This is a Sia Marchetti turbine-powered airplane. It's built by the Italians, and it's built as a military trainer.
You come down under the DC-3 and then pull up at S and come by.
We're flying very close to each other. We're flying in each other's wake, and then we're very low to the ground, a lot of obstacles, and then on top of that, the air is all mixed up because of all the weather conditions we've been having.
The logistics of just filming it in this city, it's major stuff that we've done here. We've had to clean streets, we've had to sanitize buildings, we've had to move 500 people, we've had to move out of where they live into alternative accommodation in order that we can shoot there.
They were all happy to do that because we were doing a lot of renovation works. Within the building there were 12 communal bathrooms for 150 families. So we've spent a lot of money trying to replumb the city. It's been an interesting experience, to be honest.
Cologne's proximity to the sea meant that a second unit could work simultaneously to film the boat chase, giving Bond girl Olga Kurilenko her first taste of action.
They're doing stunts on a moving boat, and it's not against a green screen. So that's you're always a little nervous that the performances are there, but at the same time, you're getting what you want action-wise.
Olga's doing fantastically well. I think she's realising she's in a Bond movie now because we're starting doing the boat stunts, and it can be a sore experience.
It always starts with me saying, "Oh, there's no way I can do it." And Daniel he really helped me overcome my fear. He was there, and after each take, he would ask me, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" He's very, very caring.
I think people were slightly nervous, if not dubious, about coming and filming in Cologne. I think everybody's experience here has been really good.
We're very privileged to have these experiences and to work with local people and get to know them and get to understand the culture.
People seem to be so excited about us being here. It's been a joy to do it, and I think it's reflected on what we've been shooting.
And the crew had a whip around for helping some of the school children with their school clothes and books and things like that. I think they were all moved to do something for the people that live there.
The important thing is we've got to leave this place a bit better than where we found it, and that's what we plan to do.
What I loved about The Last Bond, it is Daniel Craig's sort of reinvention in a sense of the character. People now have huge expectations. It's the follow-up to Casino Royale. That's like scary, it's a very hard thing to do.
We're asking about Slate.
She wants to know about Slate. Slate was a dead end.
He killed him.
It's falling into place. It's just, it's a big piece of machinery to get going, and we've got to make this one better. We've got expectation against us now. There's a lot more work to do on this one. Oh, it seems that way, or maybe I've just got selective memory about the last one, because the last one seems sort of a walk in the park compared to this one now.
obviously with a new director, with Mark, there's a different feeling on the set, but I think everybody's very psyched about it and very excited about the prospect of creating something different.
It's funny, like when I started shooting, you're watching Judi Dench or Daniel. There's a very weird feeling when you're doing it. It's like you suddenly have this feeling that I'm so familiar with these characters, but still you're creating something different or having a different point of view on them.
This is about trust. I thought I could trust you.
We've shot a few of the sort of dialogue sequences, which was kind of unusual, and it was nice. It was nice to sort of start with some meaty dialogue sequences. Kidding myself that it was going to last.
The last film, Daniel, was amazing in the action work, and this film has really more than doubled it. We have a lot of different kind of action sequences. He's had to do a lot more extensive training than he did in the last film.
I'm just doing very, very hard, strenuous rehearsal. I'm loving it. I really am. I'm loving it. Who wouldn't? We're 2-3 weeks in, we haven't started yet. We've barely scratched the surface. I'm not going to say it's hard. There's all this sort of stuff that goes around making a Bond movie. The expectation, we made a very successful movie last time, and everybody's going to be looking to this one to see what the outcome is. And that puts a lot of pressure on a director. I know it puts a lot of pressure on me, but our only criteria was that we've just got to make a good movie that, we can look back in 10 years' time and sort of go, we're very proud of it.
You set the tone as a director, you try to create the magic, but then the vision of the film as you set it, the location you choose, the casting you do, and how you work with the actor suddenly overtakes you and becomes alive, and you almost flow within that.
His real ability is storytelling. Having somebody at the helm who's controlling how we emotionally enjoy the movie is a big weight off my mind.
Working with Mark has just been brilliant. He lets you do what you do as an actor, which makes you feel kind of confident, and you can really put your own little mark on things.
Your teacher's on sabbatical. This fits our cover.
No, it doesn't get it.
It's a James Bond film, but it's a Mark Forster film also. Anything can happen. The work is alive and fresh. Please don't talk like if I'm stupid.
He just has, I can imagine how much pressure he has because he's the director. And he's always been so calm.
Mark is the type of director who likes to get it out of the studio, go to real locations to capture the atmosphere there and work at the real locations.
You have this enormity of different locations, of action, of all these things to do and to achieve in a certain amount of time. And you just have to take it step by step. I'm not really thinking about the end. I'm thinking about the moment I'm shooting today.
I'm incredibly excited about what we've done. I look at the trailer which we've just finished.
The role of the Bond girls has changed over the years. In this particular movie, the Bond girl is almost a counterpart to Bond himself.
I'm playing Camille, the feisty girl. She has to get the revenge. Actually, I do have a few action scenes, and I'm looking forward to doing them because I haven't done much yet, but I've done a lot of training.
She really has got a lot of stuff to do. She's on the boat for the boat chase, parachuting, fighting, driving a car. So she really has got to be up to speed.
I never had such intensive workout and preparation for the movie.
the actors are doing stunts on a moving boat and it's not against a green screen. So that you're always a little nervous that the performances are there, but at the same time, you're getting what you want action-wise.
I'm doing a lot of stunts by myself. It's incredible how it always starts with me saying, oh, there's no way I can do it. I look at it, I'm like, okay, I can't do it. And I end up doing it.
Olga's doing fantastically well. I think she's realizing she's in a Bond movie now because we started doing the boat stunts.
Daniel helped me overcome my fear. He was there, and after each take, he would ask me, are you okay? Are you okay?
It can be a sore experience.
In my life, I would never do something like that, and for the movie, I had to, and I'm very proud of myself.
My name is Anatol Taubman. I play Elvis, Dominic Green's henchman, sidekick, associate, cousin. It's normally when you come in as an actor, there is this special thing, oh, the actor is coming, artist on set, and you know, this whole thing. So you feel maybe, or they make you feel special. But here I feel like everyone is special. Film is teamwork, and you really feel that there. Maybe on other productions, they give you the feeling that you may be more important because you're in front of the camera. But here you really feel a part of it, and because it's such a big family. It was very important for me that I talked to Mark prior to saying yes to the project, whether we can make that Elvis multifaceted. And I said, how about maybe something with the hair? And he said, great. I like that thing, but how about like this? So, yeah, that's my wig. He has something going on with the hair, but we don't want to give that away yet.
How long have I got? 30 seconds. Well, that doesn't give us a lot of time.
Quantum of Solace premiered at the Odeon Leicester Square in London on 29th of October 2008 and was theatrically released first in the United Kingdom 2 days later and in the United States on the 14th of November.
It's 2 years since Casino Royale left us hanging with the emotionally scarred James Bond, but he's back to pick up the pieces and continue the action in this, the blistering Quantum of Solace.
In this exclusive show, we meet the man with the license to thrill, Daniel Craig.
It's exciting, it's emotional, it's got everything you need for a good Bond movie.
Get in. We chat to the stunning new Bond beauty, Olga Kurilenko.
It was just so amazing. I've never learned so much for a part. Never.
We catch the cast in action on set. And the stars turn out on the red carpet by royal appointment.
Welcome to the royal world premiere of the 22nd Bond movie here in London's Leicester Square. The expectation is immense, the atmosphere electric, and the cast haven't even begun to arrive yet. So before they do, allow me to thoroughly debrief you.
With a title taken from an Ian Fleming short story, Quantum of Solace is the latest instalment in the world's longest-running film franchise, which began back in 1962 with Dr. No. This great British institution underwent a reinvention with the arrival of Daniel Craig and 2006's Casino Royale, which took over $500 million around the world, making it the most successful Bond film yet. This new mission hits fifth gear from the get-go, as the story picks up minutes from the end of Casino Royale, with Bond firmly back in the driving seat. So how does it feel to be back? Is it like putting a pair of comfy old slippers back on?
Not quite, no, with nails in them. This feels great. I mean, it feels... the impetus of Casino Royale was so great. It seemed to be a success. I think everybody sort of felt it was a success that we wanted to, when we came to shoot this, we wanted to continue the story and tie up the loose ends that we'd, the loose storylines that we'd sort of started in Casino. And so it was exhilarating.
You look like hell. When was the last time you slept?
Still raw after the death of his true love, Vesper, Bond's motivation is revenge, but he's playing his cards close to his chest, even with his boss. For you, it seems that the emotional journey is as important as the action. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it is, but it's because it's a movie. I don't know. I don't really. I think however big the movie is you have to sort of emotionally hook the audience in at some point. Otherwise, I think the movie becomes sort of vapid. It becomes sort of something that's not, that it's a sort of spectacle with lights and sound, as opposed to something that's an emotional journey. I mean, I'm not. It sounds like we've kind of made some major sort of deep, meaningful drama here, but it's a Bond movie with a storyline. I mean, that's really the first and foremost what we set out to do.
Finding a director who could balance the drama of 007's inner turmoil with the obligatory action was always going to be tough. German maverick Mark Forster, who had helmed the decidedly non-action flicks Monsters Ball, Finding Neverland and The Kite Runner, was a surprising choice.
The biggest challenge was as every director is, probably I'm a control freak, and it's all about the details. And we were shooting the film in over 6 countries all over the world. And so it's been, in a sense, it was very, very hard to basically, you have to always communicate very clearly. When you shoot in one location, you can control that location, but when you're shooting over in 6 countries all over the world, you have to always make sure that your crew knows exactly what you want. And it's all this detail work, which sometimes you can go a little crazy.
You do travel the world. I mean, let's get this. You've got Britain, Italy, Haiti, Austria, Bolivia, Russia. Why are these locations, do you think, so important? Because you travelled everywhere this time.
I mean, for me, it was important. Once I signed on, I said, look, if I'm going to do this film, I want to go back to shoot them on location. I don't want to shoot it against green screen in Pinewood. So the most I can do is, I said, let's go out on locations like they did in the old Bonds and really use those locations, because the locations generally locations have like a soul, a spirit. So I wanted to give the audience the most realistic feeling possible, and that was sort of the idea behind it.
Get in.
All right. Careful with this one, Mr. Bond. She won't go to bed with you unless you give her something she really wants.
But Bond isn't the only character out for revenge, as he teams with the delectable but damaged Camille, played by Ukrainian beauty Olga Kurilenko. Now I've got to ask him why Camille is not your typical Bond girl, because for a start, she doesn't sleep with Bond, which I think, to be perfectly honest, is a complete wasted opportunity.
I think actually that it's quite good for a change, because all the others he slept with. So she's also different because she's very feisty, and she has her own story in the movie, which wasn't that obvious in others. Not always the case, and this one is really on her own mission.
At just 13, Olga was spotted on the Moscow metro by a modelling scout, and 4 years later was whisked off to the Paris catwalks to strut her stuff. She graced the covers of Vogue and Elle magazine before turning her talents to French cinema ahead of landing this iconic role. So, luck be this lady tonight.
We did 3 auditions, and of course after the first one I got a call back, so I went to London and I met the producers and the directors. And when I did my audition, they were too nice to me. They said, "Thank you very much, goodbye," and that's all. So I thought I probably, I wasn't selected, because they said, "Thank you very much." That's all. And then, the moment I came out of the room, my agent called me and they just said it was great. They want to see you with Daniel. And I said, I can't believe it, because they didn't tell me anything. But it's just because that's the way they do it. They don't tell you.
Now, I know that you were quite involved in the kind of selection of your Bond girl as well, of your counterpart, Camille. So I just wondered if that meant...
I love this image of me sort of standing there with 20 girls going, no.
See, this is what I had that.
I
thought you had like a big casting couch in your Winnie Bagel. You'd audition them all.
I have a couch, but it's not for casting on. It's for... Mark Foster is the director of the movie, and it's his movie and the way he wants it to look, and the casting process is his choice, as well as the studio and the producers. But they asked me what I think, and when Olga came in and did her screen test, I thought she was fantastic, so I said so.
Is there an element as well, because you knew there was a scene where you had to carry a Bond girl, so you're like, I need to just weigh up how much they're going to weigh so that I can carry them. You carry Olga off the boat into the hotel.
Oh, yeah. No.
You do as many of the stunts you can yourself. Is that part of the challenge for you? Do you enjoy doing that?
I do, yes, I do. It's a Bond movie. It just seems to me that's the way you do it. I sort of like I'm trying to prove something, but I'm not. I thought that's what you had to do. Nobody's told me any different. Everybody's going, it's like it's unusual. I don't think it is. Yeah, I know. It's like, maybe.
I remember talking to you last time in Casino Royale, and you said you'd picked up a few injuries and whatever. So what scars have you got this time? Is this one of them?
It's kind of one of them, yeah. I needed some shoulder surgery, which is sort of delayed. And probably I should have had a look at it before I did Quantum, but certainly doing Quantum didn't help. But it's fine. It's healing. It's all good.
Must be quite good to kind of go, yeah, this is from Casino Royale, that one there is from Quantum of Solace. Yeah. It's kind of pick up a collection.
Yeah, I just lie about them, really. I remember this one.
Your secret.
Right, then I can see that the cast have begun to arrive, so join me after this quick break when I'll be collaring Daniel Craig.
It's bigger than last time. It's just, it's incredible. I don't know how anybody ever gets used to this.
And I'll be chatting to a whole bevy of Bond beauty. What do you think of this?
It's enormous. It's so big. Really exciting.
Welcome back to the red carpet as the stars are beginning to arrive. So what can I say? Your timing is impeccable. This is who you'd been waiting for. Daniel Craig and Saskia, very nice to see you.
It's fantastic to be here. Thanks for coming out.
What do you make of this reception?
I think it's bigger than last time. It's just, it's incredible. I don't know how anybody ever gets used to this, but I hear people were sort of camping out last night. I hope they didn't get too cold, but I really appreciate you being here.
Well, they're all here to see Quantum of Solace. What can they look forward to in this film, Daniel?
Mark Foster's done an amazing job with this movie. It's very beautiful. It's exciting. It's emotional. It's got everything you need for the Bond movie.
Your last film was so phenomenally successful. It kind of earned over $500 million at the box office. So presumably, the pressure's on to top that.
No.
Yeah, thanks for rubbing it.
Pressure?
There's quite a lot of pressure on this one, isn't there?
I'm not thinking about it tonight. No.
You look absolutely stunning. Tell us who your dress is by.
Valentino.
Very nice. True red. Very beautiful as well. So, how did you enjoy filming Quantum of Solace?
It was amazing. We have been in so many beautiful countries, and everything I had to learn for the part, like doing all these fight scenes and working with guns and skydiving. It was just so amazing. I've never learned so much for a part. Never.
And how do you feel now when you go around, well, the world and you see your face and kind of yourself on these huge billboards everywhere you go?
Well, it's amazing. It's kind of impressive.
Have you stood by any of them and had a photo taken?
My friends wanted to do this, but I got really shy and ran away.
It must be quite difficult to take on a Bond movie and not feel overwhelmed about what's in store.
Definitely, because Casino Royale was such an enormous success that the pressure was incredible, and every day you wake up and say, hopefully the film lives up to the expectations.
We're now joined by showbiz royalty, Dame Judi Dench. Do you still get excited at premieres like this?
How could you not? How could you not get excited? Leicester Square, full of cheering people, all looking happy. It's wonderful.
Now, you've got to tell everyone what they'll learn about Em this time round, apart from the fact that she's got a very swanky bathroom.
Yeah, she's got a terrific bathroom. That's true. And not a bad house, actually. She's as bossy as ever. And I don't know that she gets the better of him there, I'm afraid. He's getting rather stronger.
Now, when you got the call saying they wanted you to be the bad guy, did you take that personally, going, why me?
Yes, I thought they made a mistake. How could Mark Forster think take such a risk? But when I read the script, then I understood. They were trying to find a villain like today, that mean villains that are hidden. You don't know where the power is, you don't know where the danger is. People seem ordinary, even with the financial crisis. You don't know where the villains are. So the smile can be the ultimate weapon, almost.
But you don't you don't have a bald head, you don't have a cat, you don't have a hook. What, did you feel that you were shortchanged?
I had nothing. I begged Mark to even shave my hair like him, do something. Please give me something. And no, he resists. Nothing.
Now please welcome Gemma Arterton, who plays Agent Fields. Listen to the cheer you just got.
I love you guys, you fans. You're gorgeous.
I think they probably feel the same about you.
Very sweet. Very sweet.
Now you have to take us back to the minute you got the call saying that you'd got the part. What was going on that day?
I was filming a scene for a film, and I was in scuba diving outfit, and I was just about to jump into the water in the middle of the ocean when I got a phone call from my agent, who just went dun 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 dun, and I went, oh my god, like this. Get me off this boat so I can drink loads of champagne, which is what we did.
And tonight, obviously, is the Royal World Premiere. Are you looking forward to meeting the princes?
I am very much, and it's fantastic that they could come tonight and support Help for Heroes and the Royal British Legion.
Look, thank you very much. I hope you enjoy your premiere, enjoy your party. All these people have been here for ages, so you might have to just say goodnight to them all.
I'm going to go and say hello to them now.
Okay, thank you very much. Daniel Craig! Now, the Bond title track has always been a crucial part of the 007 cocktail. And this time round, Jack White of White Stripes fame has written the epic Another Way to Die for a duet with soul sensation Alicia Keys. Now, the track brilliantly complements the music of the film, written by David Arnold, who returns to score his 5th Bond movie.
Gets you in the mood.
A lot of the time when you're writing music for a Bond film, you're kind of looking at it from a certain distance. For this one, there's a lot of ambiguity emotionally in the film, the theme of, who you can trust and who you can't trust. And so there's a lot of internal kind of energy for the first time. So a certain amount of it became designing sounds which felt like they were coming from somewhere sort of deep inside.
I'll just build up parts one at a time, and then on top of that, start putting brass on, putting woodwind on, and so this is like a synthetic version of what the orchestra will be playing.
Jack White and Alicia Keys are performing the song, and Jack wrote and produced it. What's intriguing about it was the idea that why would those two ever get together?
That's when new ideas generate. You take two things that aren't supposed to be together and you mix them up, and then something new happens.
Another ring with the slick trigger finger for Her Majesty.
There's kind of his dark style that I'm able to join into, and then there's my kind of belting, strong, soulful scatting over it, and harmonies that blare up, and so we both were able to throw our mixes in there and create the gumbo.
A woman looking back.
Movie scores are become very elaborate and grandiose. I was trying to break it down to something a lot more direct and from the gut.
Like Casino Royale, this is not your Bond of guns, gadgets and girls. Instead, it's a sophisticated revenge tragedy full of visceral thrills, dynamic dames and spectacular action. If you enjoyed Daniel Craig's first outing as 007, then prepare to feast again, because this slice of British beef is back with a bang.
Really incredible. I can't really believe it's happening. It feels like a big, everyone said it, but it feels like a big dream. And a year ago, I would never, ever have imagined I'd even work, let alone be at a Bond premiere. Just bought something completely brilliant, and then especially in this film as well. What about Sean Connery though? Oh yeah, he's sexy. He's got it. Of course he has. He's my number 2. But Dan, not one for the faint-hearted.
No, it's not, is it?
No, it's not.
What's it like being a Bond girl?
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
See, do you know what I mean? I never got that 2 years ago. It's incredible, and something that I could never have even possibly imagined ever would happen. I'm quite sort of overwhelmed, really. It's amazing.
And what do you think of Daniel Craig? What is he like as Bond?
I think he's the best Bond. He's fantastic. He's sexy and beautiful and edgy, and he draws you in. You want to know what's going on, and I think he's just brought something completely brilliant. And then especially in this film as well.
What about Sean Connery though?
Oh yeah, he's sexy. He's got it. Of course he has. He's my number 2. But Daniel, I kissed him and he just won me over. Can I say?
Gemma, thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Incredibly quickly.
She was fantastic. I was really drawn to the character. She's really funny in a way, and has a sneaky name, which you have to watch the end to find out. And yeah, she's fun. She's a throwback to the 60s Bond, and I'm really proud of that. Well, he's a naughty boy, and I don't know the ins and outs of the story. I've been working too hard to follow it. I do think he should be told off, though.
Hello, how are you?
Hi, I'm very well. How are you?
Good, yeah. So how was that then? That's quite a performance.
What, going out the red carpet or the film?
The film. And that as well.
Thank you. Insane and a brilliant job. It's such a like a family doing a Bond film, and each time you step on set, you're kind of like, oh yeah, this is a huge deal. But I kept thinking, oh, it's just another film, which helped in a way.
I've been getting some tips from people on the red carpet about how to be a Bond girl. Any advice? Any advice really means.
You've got to be witty, and you've got to be. If you want to be a Bond girl like Agent Fields, you got to be funny. You got to be able to play someone at their own game and have a glint in your eye. That's the main thing. A little twinkle in the eye.
You know what I noticed? Mr. Daniel Craig has a bit of a twinkle in his eye.
He has, and he has the most beautiful eyes. You just want to go, what's going on in there? It's brilliant. But it's so important for Bonds. It's all about tongue-in-cheek and twinkle in the eye.
What is it about Daniel Craig? What is it about him?
Do you know what? That's what I think it is. What is it about him? You just don't. There's something about him, and that's something really rare that makes him really interesting and watchable. You don't know what's going on.
Who's your Bond growing up then? Everyone always says it's the first Bond film you see, that's your Bond. Who was your...
My favourite Bond?
Your first Bond?
I think my first Bond film that I saw was Goldfinger, which is my favourite Bond film. Just love that film. It's everything that I like of a Bond film is in that film. So,
Your favourite Bond actor?
I can't choose, but I'm going to say Daniel Craig. I'm going to say Daniel Craig.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
taking her to meet the princes?
Well, Mum's going to be there. Mum's going to be watching, and she's going to be watching me meet the princes because my sister's going to be with me when I meet the princes.
Now, will you be covering her eyes when it gets to the scenes with Daniel Craig?
What, the romantic scenes, you mean? No, I'll be going, oh, if only I could be doing that again and watching that again. No, it's fantastic.
What are you wearing? It's quite an outfit. It's amazing.
I am wearing Balmain and Graf diamonds.
Crikey, so have you got any insurance on that tonight? Yeah?
I've got a security guard because I'm really clumsy. Probably thinking.
What are those diamonds worth?
Oh, more than me.
Diamonds are forever.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So.
Now the princes are here. Are you quite looking forward to being on Her Majesty's Secret Service with those?
Oh, can't wait to meet those little princes. Yeah, no, it'd be fun. Good to meet them.
Okay, well enjoy. Have a good night. Yeah?
Thank you so much. Have fun.
Take care. That's all you need to do.
I would show it off to you properly, but thank you. And Graf diamonds and
Fabulous. Now your character really reminds me of a mixture of Moneypenny and a schoolgirl.
Yes.
About her.
Yeah, that's what she's an office girl basically that kind of gets tangled up with Bond, quite literally, and gets way over her head. So I wanted to make her not the kind of vixen or the or the Bond girl. You know, she's just this normal girl who's trying really hard to match Bond, but can't really. And she's fun. She's the average guy's Bond girl, I suppose, and that's really charming.
So how do you feel about being Bond girl? What's special about it for you?
Well, it's just something that you always have forever. It's a select little club that you join, and then forever and ever and ever. It's kind of like you're immortalised, I suppose. How bizarre is that?
What was it like to kiss Daniel Craig, or am I not allowed to ask you that?
It was just awful. It was really awful. No, it was fantastic. And he's a great kisser. He's got a little bit of bad breath. You'll have a go at me saying that, but he needs to know.
Can I just ask you, what was the first thought into your head when you stepped?
He needs to know.
Can I just ask you, what was the first thought into your head when you stepped out of the car just now?
I must make sure that I keep my legs together. That was the thought. Yeah.
How exciting is this for you? It's real, genuine red carpet madness, right?
Yeah, but I'm used to going on stage and I'm used to things like that. So it's not as I thought it would be a lot crazier than it is. It's crazy, but it's not. I'm not as crazed as I thought I'd be.
As a Brit, are you particularly honoured because of meeting William and Harry?
I can't wait to meet them. I'm really excited.
One question.
Hello.
One question.
Am I pinching myself? Yeah, to keep myself warm. No, I'm absolutely in a dream. Can't believe it.
How did you feel when you come out with oil?
When I I knew it was going to be an iconic moment, so I was just like trying to relish in the moment and remember it because it was really special. So thank you very much.
A Bond girl at a big Bond premiere like
I can't get my head around it. I feel like I've gone into some weird sleep and weird dream. It's fantastic, amazing. Yeah.
the princes are here as well. That's pretty mad.
It's pretty full on. I didn't ever think I'd meet royalty, especially being the way I am. So I've got to kind of like scrub up and be on my best behaviour and be very nice, be a lady.
Have you got a tendency to put your foot in it then?
I have, yes. I got a bit of a big mouth and I come out with things I think are going to be funny and tend not to be. So I'm just going to try and be as nice and polite and elegant as I can.
Practice your curtsy.
Oh, well, you see, I'm a trained actress, classically trained actress, and I know how to curtsy. We do that at drama school. So I'm all right. I'll be all right, I think.
What was Daniel like to work with?
A lovely guy. He's so. I mean, there's so much pressure on him, but he never see it, and and he's so supportive and funny. He's got a great sense of humour.
Was that you covered in oil, or was that a body double?
That was me. I'm very proud of the fact that it was me as well. I
Did a
made
straw you were breathing through or something?
nothing. I sort of would bubble at the nostrils.
I think he brings something, yeah, he's got the look and he brings something really new to all the other Bonds. I mean, he's more masculine, I guess, than the others, at least Pierce Brosnan, so.
Well, yeah, he's the best James Bond. Well, I mean, it was getting a bit ridiculous with Pierce Brosnan. Things were getting they weren't very good anymore. We had invisible cars and, but yeah, Daniel Craig's brought it back, and it's Casino Royale was brilliant. Some of the critics have said this one's not as good, but they don't understand. I mean, this one's going to be really good.
We were pleased when we chose him, and really delighted that the audience has loved him in Casino Royale, and think he's, he just gets better and better.
And also, I think the franchise has been revamped with him coming in. Was that something you always wanted to do, bring it kind of into a more...
Well, I think we did. We thought it was a good chance now to, with Casino Royale to change the direction a bit, and we're very pleased with the results. The public seems to enjoy them.
I'm feeling anxious and a lot of pressure. It's sort of the pressure has been really mounting up, and Casino Royale was the most successful movie in the history of all the Bond franchises. So doing the follow-up to that is enormous amount of pressure. Basically, I wanted on the one hand, I wanted the movie to feel like a bullet. It starts and it has this incredible rush until the last frame, but I also wanted to have an emotional arc and that we really see under the skin of Bond and see that he is a three-dimensional human being.
Extraordinary, really. I don't know yet. You'll have to ask me tomorrow. I think I'll sort of take it all in. I can't. It's just unbelievable. I mean, it seems to be bigger than last time. So. No, I haven't become him. But I'm enjoying doing this. It's great. Well, that's nice. That's very nice of them. Thank you. Have a good night. Hello. Hello, gentle.
Oh, gentle. Yes, very gentle. Well, on set, of course, he was very supportive, and he gave me a lot of more insurance and more. He was a good example, basically, because he goes for a lot of things and he does a lot of stunts by himself. So I tried to do exactly the same, and I did. And it's great to have a partner who's very involved in what he does.
She was fantastic. I was really drawn to the character. She's really, really funny in a way, and has a sneaky name, which you have to watch the end to find out. And she's fun. She's a throwback to the 60s Bond, and I'm really proud of that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please can we keep the red carpet clear?
I would have loved, I asked Mark if I could have shaved my hair like him, or keep something, change my face, so it would have been, easier. But then I understood that it was about villains that you don't know where they are today. They are hidden behind good actions. I mean, they try to hide themselves.
No, it's a different script and it's a different story, and so you have to tackle it all in one go. I haven't seen the film yet, so I'm anxious to see it tonight.
Drive and an edge and a realism and a style to it that's really, really pretty exciting.
No, I think it's ours. It's ours for the making. So I like that. We've been able to
bring, I think, an edge to it, a realism to it. But also with this film, there are stylistic elements to it that are really contemporary and modern. I think going to be really fresh for viewers. Viewers are very sophisticated now. Audiences are have seen everything, but we bring I think a quality of acting that we hope is compelling.
How jealousy. How are you? You just go back to
Well, Daniel Craig is back. He's better than ever. We have fabulous cast, we're a wonderful director, lots of action, and it's also a very moving and powerful story. So I hope the public will enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed making it.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's you've been waiting to hear 007 Agent James Bond of the British Secret Service, MI6, also known as Stunt, has arrived in Leicester Square.
It's extraordinary. I mean, it's just like, this seems to be bigger than it was last time, which it's saying something.
He's terrific. He's made it his own part, and he's a wonderful actor.
A year ago, I would never, ever, ever, ever have imagined I'd even work, let alone be at a Bond premiere.
It's going to be a lot of action, and me and Daniel, we both did them by ourselves, and a lot of them.
Traditionally, it's always been that's what actors do, and if you take movies back to Buster Keaton and Charlie Chaplin, that's what those guys did. They didn't have doubles. They were the ones falling out the window. They were the ones with the house falling on top of them. And I kind of feel there's a tradition there that as long as I can physically do it, I should be trying to keep up with that. If people are still watching movies in 30 years' time, I want them to be looking back at these movies and going, those were good Bond movies. I mean, that's just crucially important to me.
He's hugely good fun and unbelievably concentrated. It's a great mixture.
All right, Bond is back. The stars of the James Bond flick Quantum of Solace mingled with royalty on the red carpet last night in London. CBS News correspondent Sheila McVicker was there.
A Bond world premiere is always a big event. Glitz, glamour, and glad-handing stars, all to celebrate the latest adventures of the British secret agent. And not just film stars, but royalty too. Princes William and Harry, slightly abashed, walking into the Bond theme. Appearing at their first royal premiere, they spoke with some very happy fans.
This man and I have some unfinished business.
This film is an immediate sequel to Casino Royale, Daniel Craig's first appearance as 007. The hero, who lost his lover in that film, is now searching for peace.
I need to know that I can trust you.
And you don't.
We talked to Craig on the red carpet. What is Bond looking for in this film?
His quantum of solace. Literally.
And what is a quantum of solace?
He's had his heart broken. He's been betrayed, and he needs to find some peace of mind.
This seems to be a darker Bond than the Bond of
It is
Casino
this
Royale.
time, but his girlfriend's just been killed. His love of his life, the woman he was going to run off and marry. Someone murdered her simply, or she killed herself because of somebody. So he's dealing with that.
He still wears a tux well, but his sense of humor has been lost in the previous film. It's not met with universal acclaim. The Sunday Times called it an action film on autopilot. This film owes a lot less to the creative genius of Bond originator Ian Fleming than it does to the desire of the producers to keep what is now the longest running and most lucrative film franchise in history going. In fact, the last Bond outing, Casino Royale, was the highest grossing Bond movie ever. However bad the economy, film industry analysts say Bond is recession-proof and still worth hundreds of millions at the box office. Sheila McVicker, CBS News, London.
James Bond 22 is finally here, and Quantum of Solace. Quantum of Solace is based on a short story by 007 creator Ian Fleming. In perhaps the most action-packed Bond film ever, super spy 007 is out for revenge. After seeing the only woman he has ever loved perish before his eyes, Bond kicks his Aston Martin into high gear in pursuit of retribution. Daniel Craig tries to explain to us what is different this time round.
A huge amount of bravery and a huge amount of visual flair, which is what we wanted from the movie, and we had to, we had a lot to compete with Casino Royale, so it was he had a lot to live up to, but he certainly did.
Russian-born Bond girl Olga Kurilenko admits this was a thrill ride for her.
It's going to be a lot of action, and me and Daniel, we both did them by ourselves, and a lot of them by ourselves, and it's quite breathtaking. So get ready, you're going to be pinned to the chair.
Starring in her sixth Bond movie, Judi Dench is full of praises about her co-star.
I think he's absolutely tremendous. He's terrific. He's made it his own part, and he's a wonderful actor. And everybody who plays a part brings something different to it. So it's very, very exciting. And as Pierce did, and as Sean Connery, Roger Moore, everybody's been different, and that says something about Ian Fleming's writing.
Seems like Daniel Craig has finally established himself as 007 in this movie, although for the history books, this is the shortest James Bond movie ever at 1 hour and 40 minutes. From Hollywood, I'm Ron Jacobson.
I love James Bond premieres. It's a chance for me to dust off the old cliches and say things like the crowd were left shaken and stirred, or the stars had a license to thrill. Oh dear. But still, you can't doubt the power of the Bond brand. Not only did the crowds turn up, but also two other fellas you might recognise. But then the Quantum of Solace launch was a royal premiere, so frankly, we've been expecting them. For Bond himself, though, it was business as usual. People like me asking him silly questions.
How are you finding it so far, sir?
Great. Well, I've just got here. It's amazing.
Is it bigger than last time?
I think it is. I mean, I've yet to get in there yet, but it seems to be, which is extraordinary.
You must be starting to get sort of used to the notion.
How do you get used to this? How does anybody ever get used to this?
So what can we tell you about Bond 22 that hasn't already been said? It's mean and moody again, which has divided the critics. It's the shortest and most expensive Bond ever made. And it's the first film since 1967 where 007 doesn't say the name's Bond, James Bond. See, I'm full of fascinating facts. There were, of course, a handful of Bond girls at the premiere looking as good as you'd expect, but the grandest of them all was Dame Judi Dench. The star who plays M got into the spirit of things by proving that diamonds really are forever.
What's that? You got them stuck on the... Yeah. Very nice.
Thank you very much.
That's very nice.
That's Swarovski crystals.
Oh, really?
It's no rubbish. not any
not sequins stuck on.
Certainly not.
So the cast are excited, and it's also got the royal seal of approval. Princes William and Harry turning up to see what life is like working for their grandmother's Secret Service. I bet they're only here to see the Bond girls, aren't they? Steve Hargraves, Sky News, in London's Leicester Square.
Bond is back. That's James Bond. Quantum of Solace, the 22nd film in the series, is British actor Daniel Craig's second outing as 007. His blonde good looks go down well with most fans, but when asked about the film's title, it was the philosophical rather than the physical that got him talking.
Basically, it's about the moment of peace within yourself. If you can find your quantum of solace, it means you've sort of figured out what life's about, really.
The movie picks up an hour after Casino Royale left off, with the spy grieving over his lover's death. That flick was the most lucrative of all Bond films, and the pressure is on the director for a repeat performance.
You know, making a Bond film is something very, very hard, because especially when the last one was the most successful Bond ever, and Daniel proved himself that in the last one, but this time the pressure was on me to perform and the expectations are so high.
The latest portrait of the spy features much of the glam and bang fans have come to expect, but with Bond heartbroken, it's noticeably short on love scenes.
I think there's no space for any romance between Camille and Bond because they're just too focused on what they have to get done.
The premiere even attracted royal attention, with Princes William and Harry joining a host of stars on the red carpet.
You don't have to worry about me.
The spy's mission now is ensuring a success at the box office.
What's it like playing a Bond baddie?
Phenomenal, yeah. I mean, it's a dream come true. As cliched as that sound, it really is. A massive fan of the films, always have been. So to get that call was definitely a great moment.
And joining a franchise this big, it's almost like a family, isn't it? They've been going for so long.
It is. I'm borrowing the cereal. I'm asking for milk on Fridays. It's great. It's a big family.
So did you get to have a proper tussle with Daniel?
I don't know. It's more. It's a meeting. It's that, you know. There's no tussling going on now.
As a Bond villain, were you a bit disappointed you didn't get to stroke a white cat?
Yes, terribly. So I went out and bought one after I finished filming, and her name's Molly. So it's great.
What do you think about the premiere tonight? It's just crazy. It's a huge scale, and there's all these veterans here as well. It's a great event.
It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like this. I mean, as a fan of movies and walking through Leicester Square as you do, sometimes I stop by and see if I can see the actors, and I've never seen it taken over in such a way. It's phenomenal. Yeah.
So do you know what happens with your character then? Are you back in the next one?
I can't comment on that, and I don't know. I really don't know. The honest truth is I don't know, but I'd be surprised. I think it gets the right kicking from Bond. I don't think that's unfair to say.
Extraordinary, really. I don't know yet. You'll have to ask me tomorrow. I think I'll sort of take it all in. I can't. It's just unbelievable. I mean, it seems to be bigger than last time.
He was a good example, basically, because he goes for a lot of things and he does a lot of stunts by himself. So I tried to do exactly the same, and I did. And it's great to have a partner who's like very involved in what he does.
She was fantastic. I was really drawn to the character. She's really, really funny in a way, and has a sneaky name, which you have to watch the end to find out. And she's fun. She's a throwback to the 60s Bond, and I'm really proud of that.
This is your second one of these now, but can you ever get used to this reception?
Yeah, so it is. No, you can't. Never. You could never get used to this. It's incredible. I mean, that's amazing.
And of course, this time we have William and Harry here as well.
I know, which is great for tonight, because we're kind of raising some money in awareness of Help for Heroes and the Royal British Legion. So
now you've seen the film, you must be very happy with it.
I'm very happy with it. Yes, yeah, very happy.
But you still have the scars, of course.
No. What are you talking about?
Obviously, with William and Harry being here, there's going to be some Secret Service out in the crowd.
Well, they might be standing next to you now. You never know.
I think you might be starting the Lord of Gas next year.
The what?
The Lord of Gas next year.
No, don't know what that is.
Daniel, W Radio Latin America. What can we expect from you in this Bond? More human?
Maybe more human, but this is a very exciting, action-packed Bond movie with a lot of emotion and a lot of good feeling in it. So.
Did you enjoy being in Latin America?
I certainly did. Yes, I want to get back as soon as I can.
Did you learn any Spanish?
I know a little, but no, I can't tonight. I'll only embarrass myself.
This has been sort of like, coming back to school after summer vacation, and now you know everybody, and you say, hey, hello, how have you been? And you know whose kids are what age, and who's doing what, and whose mom was sick, and it's so much easier.
Is it fun working with Daniel again?
Yeah, I loved to. I loved it. I think, and Daniel was more loose this time as well, and everybody was. I thought last time it was such a tremendous change of pace for the whole film and the whole Bond universe, I thought.
Obviously, you've escaped again. Do you know what's going to happen next with your character?
It's not so easy to get me, it seems.
But do you know what's going to happen next?
No, I don't, and I haven't seen the film yet, but We'll see. I survived. That's all I know.
You're living up to like 30, 40 years of songs that are so powerful and so resonant and so classic that it's hard to really know what direction to go to except for powerful. I mean, that's all I kept pushing myself to do, is just be powerful and have an intensity that would knock me over if I was in the crowd.
And now you've seen, I presume you've seen it in the film. I mean, how do you think it fits together with everything else in the film?
I love the way it fits. I only wrote it for that, I wrote it for nothing, not for videos or for radio airplay or anything like that. I only wrote it for that, and that's where it works the best. And I'm really happy about that.
You got the first duet as well. Did that mean something?
It's very honorable to have that, and I think Alicia was very excited about that as well. That really inspired both of us to put something extra into it.
What's your favourite Bond theme before yours?
Her Majesty's Secret Service. That's my favourite one because it doesn't have vocals in it. It's just all power. I think that's sort of John Barry at his best.
Was it as much fun this time round?
Yes, probably more so. Got to go to Panama. It was lovely.
And working with Daniel as well.
And with Daniel again. Yes, could be better. So we all managed to have a laugh.
So are you hoping to see the return of characters like you and Moneypenny in the next film?
I hope so. It would be lovely. It would be nice to, it becomes a kind of family. But you never know till the script arrives. You never know if you're going to be in it till the script arrives.
You definitely will. You definitely will be in it.
You don't know.
How difficult physically was it to keep up with the momentum of this film? Because it seems like the most action-packed Bond film ever made.
You prepare yourself as much as you possibly can. You rehearse and rehearse and rehearse, and when it's ready, when the first day of shooting, you wind it up and let it go. I mean, it's a Bond movie. If you can't get excited about that, I don't know what else you can get excited about.
I don't think you can get excited about anything else.
Not during that. Not during the filming. Sure, certainly not.
All I have to say after watching this is, wow! Did you guys set out to make the most non-stop action-packed James Bond ever filmed?
Well, I think we thought that we would be having more action in this film than there was in Casino Royale because of the card game through the middle of Casino Royale. It was an intriguing kind of situation, but it wasn't the traditional action style. But so we went back to having more action, I think, in this film, and I think it turned out really well. Mark and the directors, the second unit directors did a fantastic job.
Over the years, you've made some of my favorite dramas, like especially Stranger Than Fiction, last year with The Kite Runner. Was it an easy transition moving into such an action-packed film with Quantum of Solace?
No, I wouldn't call it an easy transition. It's definitely a lot of pressure, and Casino Royale was the most successful Bond ever, and the expectations were enormous, and Bond has such a public attention constantly, so you carry that weight with you on your shoulders while you're directing it. But at the same time, I've just tried to calm down, focus on what it's really what kind of movie I want to make, and try to visualize that.
At what point did you decide you wanted to become a Bond girl, or was this something that was just kind of pushed upon you at some point?
I didn't really decide. I actually didn't. I didn't. You never know you can be one.
Mm-hmm.
And when they started the casting, my agent just told me about it, and of course I went, because this is especially after seeing Casino Royale, I really thought the movie started to change and it became different. I mean, the Bond was different, which I thought he was one of the best ones, and the James Bond girl part evolved, and I thought, wow, this is a really cool moment to try to be a part of the movie, because it's really evolving in a good way.
Well, no, we had an interesting conversation after seeing the movie about how this flawless, beautiful woman has the scar on her back, and because of that, it makes her almost more obtainable to some of the nerdier people in the audience watching the James Bond. I was just wondering what your take on that was.
Yeah, well, that's why this character is interesting, because she's different, and she is. To me, she's real. She's even more of a real woman. She's. I can totally relate to the character. I mean, she's driven. She's independent, strong. She got hurt in the past when she was a child, and of course, her motivation is revenge. Which is something very tough to deal with, but that's her story, and she's going for it. she's not just this girl who is like an arm candy, which we've seen before anyway.
Now, with this film, were you happy to kind of ditch some of the cliches like "My name is Bond," James Bond, and the?
It's not about whether I'm happy about it. It's just whether it fits in. And I really look. I love those cliches, sayings, Bondisms, whatever you want to call them. They're all part of what Bond is about. I just think we need to deserve them to put them in, and when we get it right, and when at the right moment, they'll be in the movie. And I drink martinis in this. I just drink 6 of them straight. It's like it's trying to play around with the concept as opposed to just dropping them in because they should be there.
Well, I was going to say the martini scene actually is one of the great scenes in the movie where the guy explains what you are drinking.
Yeah.
Did that come just off the set, or was that always something that was in the script?
It was something because it's from Casino, and it's obviously it's the martini he's drinking is called the Vesper, which he names after the Vesper Lynd character. So, and it's a big old drink, vodka gin kind of concoction. They work, I tell you.
What was one of your favorite stunt scenes to shoot in this that you had a lot of fun with?
The free fall was quite incredible. We had to learn how to do that in this wind tunnel. That was hard work, but really exhilarating. There was a foot chase sequence in Siena, which I loved because dealing with heights and dealing with jumping from height is it's. Gives you a kick, put it that way.
Out of all the Bond movies, what one thing did you always want to see that you were able to bring to your version of it?
I always, I imagine I wanted to make the Bond film I would love to go and see. So I went back to the 60s, the early Bonds I always loved, and took sort of some of that design from like Ken Adams, from sort of that retro feel, and added it to the Bond. I was making at the same time juxtapose that to sort of like a modernized version of MI6 and so on. So have those sort of two visual styles butted against one another. And at the same time, I was looking, for locations. They're always, the Bond locations are always characters themselves. To look at something which is really breathtaking and interesting, and sort of that's how I started like building up the concept and visual concept for the movie. At the same time, I thought it was important when I sat down with Daniel about the character that it's important that Bond has sort of an emotional texture to it, and it's not just a pure action adventure film. That there's sort of like a sort of an emotional texture built within the story as well.
How many of the cuts and bruises that we see on screen are actually yours?
None of them. None of them. No, of course not. No, it's all. That Paul's here. He's my makeup artist, and he does them all. He creates all that brilliant looks. It's there's all the stuff that really happens. We have to spend our time covering up because otherwise it screws around with the continuity.
Well, how many of the cuts and scrapes that we see on screen are actually yours and not makeup? Because I hear a lot of it is.
Yeah, it's funny. At some point, there were scenes where in the beginning, we had to to match. We had to add some cuts, and then a few hours later, the makeup artist didn't have to paint them because I had them. So I actually was. There were some scratches and bleeding, and which were real. So, but it's all fine.
It goes with the territory.
Yeah, it's fine for the character.
How do you see this character evolving in the next 2 films that you are up for?
We can do anything we want now. One of the deals about Quantum of Solace was to tie up all the loose ends from Casino, make sure that we were, that we dealt with the idea that he'd been falling in love, he'd had his heart broken, that there was this organization out there, and that he needed to tackle. And now we know more about them. Now we know that that he was in love, and it's now we can do whatever we want. We can have a submarine base, we can have an underwater base, we can do whatever we want.
I was going to say that Mark's joking that maybe he's going to take it into space like Moonraker. Now that's a joke, right? You can't go that far with it.
Does he want to do another one?
He was talking.
Excellent. He's all excited now. That's great. We've got him back. We have him.
Was he not that excited?
No. I mean, it's the same way I feel when I finish one of these movies. The last thing I want to do is actually think about doing another one. So if he's excited about doing another one, I'm very happy.
Has it been what you wanted it to be over a decade of doing this?
Yeah, it has. I feel very fortunate because, in my 20s, I really didn't do much. I was just I was studying and then sort of did some time of traveling. And suddenly when I turned 30, I did my first feature. And I'm looking back now, it's been sort of 9 years making 7 movies. And I feel very fortunate. But at the same time, it's suddenly it's scary because life goes by and you suddenly feel, oh my god, yes, I made 7 movies, but what kind of life did I actually live? And it's I think it's always, for me, it's the ultimately to tell stories you have to live life as well, and you have to find a balance, I think, between life and actually the films you're making.
Well, your thing is kind of intimacy in all of your films, even in the James Bond movie. You're really looking for that intimacy. I mean, how did you, when they approached you to do this, how did you see Mark Forster bringing his voice into this?
I said to Barbara Broccoli and Michael Wilson, the producers, I said, look, it wasn't very clear why they wanted me to do this movie, because I'm not an action director. It's not really my genre. I love action movies, but I just have never done one before. And they said no. And I said, secondly, it was really important for me that I would be able to make the movie I sort of envisioned, to make the Bond movie I always wanted to go and see. And they said, no, that's why we're coming to you, to give that you actually can create the film you want to create. And first I wasn't so sure if that's really true, and I thought I'm sure there will be tons of conflicts and fights. But it wasn't like that. They really supported my vision, and in that sense it was a really great, creative, satisfying experience making a Bond film, which sounds almost abstract.
What was it like going to somebody else's playground and, playing with the toys they already had, or did you really create your own toys from the start again?
No, I created my own toys from the start. I loved those Bond movies from the 60s, so I thought, okay, let's bring that sort of that element in from this 60s design element, which I really loved when Ken Adams designed those movies. So I have a little bit of a throwback to that time. At the same time, I wanted to revamp up MI6 and modernize the whole Bond sort of look of MI6 as well, and juxtapose the two of them together, and that I really enjoyed. And then at the same time, I felt it was important to what I was focusing on, as it is a sequel to Casino Royale, to take the last 5 minutes from Casino Royale and look at what emotional place is Bond, and take sort of that emotional texture and span it throughout the film and go a little deeper. But you have to be careful, because Bond is a mystery, and that's part of Bond's success. But in that mystery, you still want to kind of feel Bond and emotionally connect with him, and sort of feel what's behind that mask, and that's I think so important. And Daniel plays that really well.
We're certainly looking into his eyes quite a bit.
Yes,
in
exactly.
The picture. I mean, the biggest difference, though, I think, you get it is the next step from Casino Royale in terms of the relationship with the Bond character and the intensity of the Bond character doing these things. The action is quite different than I think anything we've seen in any of the Bond pictures. Was there a philosophy that you brought to the action to do it the way you wanted to do it? I mean, it's big, but it's also extremely intimate in a weird way.
My first philosophy was I wanted to set the action to the 4 elements, like to have one action in fire, one in air, one in water, earth. So to set sort of the big action sequence into 4 elements, and then have smaller ones in between. But in the same time, I thought it was important that each action sequence tells a story and moves the plot forward, and it's not just here to entertain us, and that the action sequences brings the character closer. For instance, the boat sequence or the plane sequence, that they help sort of to develop the relationship between Bond and Camille, and that was really crucial for me, that they sort of are not just here to entertain us, but they also drive the story forward.
Was there a lot of second unit in doing it? I mean, it feels like you really imposed a style. You and your cutter, kind of came up with something that was unique to it. It wasn't. Some people have referred to it as like Bourne, but it really isn't like Bourne in a weird way. And Paul Greengrass, who also was not known as an action director, really gave a lot of that over to his second unit people, and was not embarrassed about saying, that big car chase in the first Bourne movie he did was really mostly second unit. How did you approach it? Did you say, this is how I want to see these pieces of the puzzle?
There are 2 main sequences of second unit. That the exterior of the cat and mouse fight on the plane sequence. Second unit shot the sort of the exterior in Mexico, and then I shot the interior with the actors in Pinewood. And when I got the footage, I cut it together and so, sort of told the story and saw what I liked about it, and then I implemented that in the inside on a gimbal and shot it with the actors on a gimbal to make it work. And then the other sequence was the car sequence at the beginning, which second unit shot, and the rest of the action I pretty much I was pretty much always present and did on my own.
So did you say, I need to do a fight that nobody has seen before, or I don't want to do a fight that we've seen before?
I pretty much felt the philosophy was sort of that the fights always have to be different and they have to be like intimate. For instance, the knife fight at the beginning, I felt I always wanted to shoot it like wider and less cutty. Obviously, you have to cut for the momentum, but at the same time, I wanted to keep the shots pretty wide. I didn't want it to be too close that you realize these two people are actually fighting. It's not two stunt doubles. It's actually Daniel, the actor.
Yeah.
Are both like literally going at each other violently. So that was sort of more of the idea that you feel actually was because Daniel was willing to do a lot of the stunts himself, so which allows me to really get sort of an intimate reaction for him. I don't have to shoot around a stunt double, and I thought if I have a lead actor who's willing to go there, let's move the camera in and make sure that I get the expressions and his pain comes across in those scenes.
Yeah, you really don't for a single moment see a stunt double in this picture. I mean, I'm sure there are a few in there, but you really don't. There's not a single moment where you go, oh, that guy's the stunt double, and he's running and jumping off the boat.
Yeah, no, it's very true. I mean, we really worked on that to make sure that also Daniel was willing to do a lot of the stuff.
And is Olga as athletic as she seems to be in these movies? I mean, she really is. Continues to be both a beauty and this, ballerina of violence in her movies.
No, she was also willing to do a lot of stunts herself, and that was, I mean, she did a lot of training beforehand. And when I casted her, it was required. Bond girl has to be stunning, but she also has to be able to act and has to have a certain depth and truth. And on the other hand, she has to really be willing to take the risk to do some of these stunts and train for it.
So the desert theme of the picture, was that part of your vision of it? I mean, there's kind of the repeating issue. There's not a lot of description of the storytelling in terms of what the drought idea is. I mean, it's not a lot of he's going to take over the world and this is how he's going to do it, which is what we're used to in the old Bond movies, some of the old Bond movies. But it's just a lot of dryness through the entire picture. Was that a philosophical choice on your part, or?
Yes, I always believed that that Bond in the desert would be sort of a good background for Bond, because Bond is sort of this isolated character and this lonely character, and he's a character now which faces his own demons. And I felt the desert would be a really good location for that. At the same time, I thought, with sort of the dryness and the feel of it, I never have seen a Bond film set in a desert, and I thought it would be a great location to exploit.
Matthew is the other element of this, Mathieu. And usually we see him in the French pictures in particular kind of going crazy. That's is almost his trademark in some of the films. Here he's very dry and very close to the vest. Was that by design? Did you not want to have the crazy villain in this and have him be quiet? Or?
Yeah, Matthew came to me at the beginning and said to me, so how do you see this villain? Can I have a scarf, or can I have a scar or some kind of other crutch to make this villain more dangerous? I said, no, I just want you to play this character really straight and soft. And I thought that would be much more interesting and much harder for you to act the part. I think you don't need a crutch. We have seen those crutches through Bond history many, many times. And I thought to play this plain villain is much more interesting.
Well, Jeffrey Wright, it always seems like his sweat is his acting in this movie. It's so dry that him dripping in every scene seems to be part of his character.
Yeah, I like Jeffrey's character is just fantastic. He's a great actor, and I like his sort of relationship with his other CIA colleague, with Beam, and it's just an actor called David Harbour who is really, really talented.
Yeah, you really get the sense of what's wrong with the CIA, I guess.
Yes.
The two of them. Anyway, okay, well, we're done. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Now it was lovely to talk to you. You really do like directors.
Okay, so congratulations. You're officially a Bond girl.
Yeah.
So when you found out that you got the part, how did it feel to know that you were going to be in a Bond film?
It was unbelievable. I mean, I couldn't believe that it was true that I got the part, and I thought my agent was just joking, and I told him it's not funny.
Right.
I said, don't tell me that just to tease me, because it's not. He said, I'm not teasing you. You got the part. And I was just very excited, because I wanted to get the part. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gone for the casting in the first place. So I was very excited
and surprised, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, sure.
And your character, Camille, a different kind of Bond girl. How would you describe her?
Camille is an independent and strong woman, and she's physically strong too. And she, in the movie, she has her own mission, and her motivation is revenge, because you saw what happens to her when she's a little girl, and it's something that's connected to that. And she's she exists as a separate character from Bond, because she could she has her own story,
right?
And this is very interesting and very different from other Bond girls, because she doesn't need Bond to exist,
Right.
even though he crosses her path. and
working with Daniel, I mean, it couldn't have been that hard. What was it like working with him and sharing your scenes with him?
It was a pleasure, sure.
Yeah.
He's just such an amazing actor, and it's just, you can only dream about that.
Right.
It's true. He's very professional, and he always is prepared, on the set. He trains so much. He was working every single day and just training and making his character better and better. And
did that motivate you?
Yes,
with your
exactly.
character?
Yeah, and he trained. He tried to do all of his stunts by himself.
Right.
By himself, and he did, and. That's what motivated me to do the same thing. And he told me, look, when you're gonna, because certain scenes were really hard, and he told me, when you're gonna watch the movie, you're gonna be so happy you did it.
Right.
And he was right. I watched it and I thought, wow, it's incredible that I've done that. But we had to work a lot on that, because I couldn't have just arrived to the set and just do it. The training was really intense, even before I started shooting, like for a month, every day, hours of training, 4 hours of fight.
I was going to ask you
training.
about that next, is about the stunts, because you're on boats and you're on planes. I mean,
It was all training.
Right.
And 4 hours per day, that's a lot.
I can imagine your muscles must have been a bit sore.
Yeah, I was very sore in the beginning, and it's funny how, with time, my body adjusted to it. And after I could do more, I could do longer scenes, and and go on for training for hours and hours, and without being tired, and the muscle adjusted. And the muscle changed too.
Right.
I saw in the movie, I got that my muscles, even the whole back is like so muscled, and I didn't have that before. It's just my body changed.
It's a muscular Bond girl. Why do you think Daniel makes an excellent Bond?
Because I think his type is he has a very tough type, and his Bond is really, believable. We can believe that he can fight and he can kick ass, because he has a strong body, and he's just, you can feel that he's strong. For example, the other Bonds, they were a little more delicate. And he's just, he's just a tough cookie.
And you guys worked very, very well together in the movie. And why do you think, audiences, are looking forward to seeing the Bond women just as much as they want to see Bond?
Well, because people need to, everybody goes to watch these kind of films, and Bond films, women and men, and I think people are, for both women and men, the characters are either a fantasy, like someone they look up to, I think, maybe men want to resemble Bond, or women want to resemble Bond girls, I don't know, and then the opposite, these the types of people that kind of make people dream, maybe, women are all a little bit in love with Bond, because it's kind of like a dream, it's just this dream character. It's, that's why, it's a fantasy, of course. It's just, where it's just a movie, we're just playing characters, but it's kind of, it just makes people dream.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on the film, and good luck with everything.
Thank you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Now, Olga, I heard you were afraid of heights, so what was it like doing the scene where you had to jump out of a plane?
Oh, that one actually was very exciting. I wasn't afraid of that at all. I got addicted to it. We trained for a month in this big wind tunnel. That's where professional skydivers come to train, actually. And I didn't know this thing existed. And, first it was, I had to learn on this whole new thing. I've never done it before. And it was really hard. I remember after first 5 minutes, I you know, everything was hurting, the muscles. And then by the end of the month, I could be in the tunnel for 40 minutes. You couldn't get me out of there. So actually, it wasn't scary. I loved it. I loved it.
Did you actually ever skydive before?
No, never. Never.
Would you do it now?
I don't know. I would go back to that tunnel. I don't know if I would jump out of the airplane. It's a little different. And the thing is, it's not about, it's a great feeling to fly. I think in the back of my mind, I would always be thinking, what if the parachute doesn't open? This is just, it's a, you know, different thing.
And I heard that you got very proficient with a gun.
Yeah, I got really, really good with it. I mean, they trained me so hard for it. I had to, apart from teaching me how to shoot, how to aim, and all the stunts for it, they taught me how to strip the gun apart and put it back together. And to make it more fun, they wanted to speed it up. So they were counting the seconds, you know, and seeing how fast I can do it. And the record, my record was 7 seconds.
Wow.
Yeah, which I think I beat my teacher. He was kind of upset about it.
Could you do it now again if you had to? Do you remember how to do it?
That's very interesting. I should get it. I'm probably, if I have it in my hands, because I know it was all about, basically it got so automatic, that's why I could do it in 7 minutes, that I could almost do it with my eyes closed, you know, because I knew every little detail, what goes where, you know, every little you know, thing. So yeah, if I get it in my hands, probably I should try that.
Now you also have a fight scene with this general who's like 5 times the size of you. So what was that like to shoot?
That was great. I was actually looking forward to that scene so much because it was the last one we filmed, and we trained for it so much. And also with Joaquin, we trained during months together. So I mean, even during the training, I could already feel the impact, because he's just a strong guy, and when he's just using half of his force, you're still hitting the floor really hard. And you know, on the day he had to do it. Basically, in that scene, a lot of things were just for real. I mean, all this throwing around, and you know, me falling tons of times on the couch and on the floor. It was all, we just kept doing it and doing it.
Did you
That was
get
pretty
hurt?
intense. Yeah, I got bruises, I got cuts. Yeah, but you know, it makes you feel alive.
Now, are you at all concerned about this so-called Bond girl curse?
No.
Why not?
I think it's not actual anymore. It's not the case. I mean, and the part, female part has evolved so much, and it became so much more interesting, deeper, you know, more serious, and it's not the same thing anymore.
And what's your film after this comes out? What's your next project?
After Bond, I shot an Israeli film, which I finished in September, and it should be coming out next spring. And right now I'm just looking at, you know, at different projects for 2009.
Is it an action film as well?
It's a drama. It's a drama, and it's very different. But there are some action scenes that are present. There are some fights, but it's not about that. It's really there are some guns also, but it's really about these 2 stories of these 2 women. It's totally different.
But you were well prepared for your action.
Exactly,
scenes.
that's the thing. They had nothing to teach me. They were really surprised. They said, "How come? You know, there's nothing. You just did everything. You know, because the stunt coordinator was prepared to rehearse with me, and he said, "Well, I think I have nothing to teach you." I said, "Sure. I just came out of a Bond movie." So that helps.
Okay, thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.
I heard that you found out that you got the role last Christmas. Is that true, or
That's
around
true.
that time?
No, that's true. Exactly on the Christmas Eve.
It's a good Christmas present. How was your kind of audition process leading up to that moment? Was it pretty intensive? Did you meet up with Daniel and all the producers quite often? Or?
Well, it was very intense, but you know, I didn't. Okay, so the first one, there were 3 auditions. The first one was in Paris, and it was just a casting director. I didn't meet anybody. After which, I guess, you know, the producers watched the cassettes, and I got invited to London to the second audition. And that's where I met Barbara and Michael, the producers, and Mark Forster, the director. That was the first time I met them. I did this audition, and they called me back again for the third one. And for the third one, I met Daniel.
And
so little by little, I was meeting people.
And did you have a good idea that you got the job, or was it always like you're not quite sure until the day you got the phone call? Then was
well,
it...
sure, you have no idea. You cannot know that you got the job. You know, there were other people. I knew that the fact that they were calling me back is that they liked me, but you know, until the end, someone else could have gotten it.
And then preparing, then did you have to go through a very intensive training period, or was it something that was?
Yeah, for the last one, because for the last one for the first two I didn't do accent. But for the third one, because I already read the script by then, and I saw that the character was Bolivian, and I really rehearsed and prepared the Hispanic accent for 2 weeks before the third audition. Every day I worked.
Going through the script then, were you surprised at how much action is involved with your character? And you have to do a lot of stunts and stuff. Were you kind of excited, or is that something that you were kind of like, oh my gosh, this is...
No, I loved it. I would do it anytime. I'm a pro now.
That's awesome.
I know how to do a lot of things now, so... but I had no idea that I was going to do that when I read the script, because, you see and it's like, okay, action, but whatever. You don't know how it's done. I mean, if you never did, action films before, which was my case, I was never involved in any action scene. I had no idea, so I didn't realize until I really started training. And the day they put me in and I started training really hard, I realized that it was going to be very physical.
Any sequence in particular that maybe before shooting you were like, uh-oh, this is going to be a scary one, or were you kind of ready for it before each like big action sequence or anything like that?
I was ready because by the time we had whatever scene to film, I was ready already, because we would be training, long time before that. And they brought me to London a month before I started shooting, and just for a month it was physical training. It was just that, every day. So, imagine I was, by the time I had to do my scenes, I was in shape.
Was it exciting to see how your body may have changed? Like maybe all these muscles in places that maybe never were there before? Is that kind of fun for you to kind of
did you see the film?
Yeah, you look good.
See the muscles? I'm just, never ever in my life I had muscles like that. And it did change my body. Of course, it was surprising. I never thought my body could look that way, But, it's a good thing to know. Basically, a little bit of work and you can do anything.
To work with Daniel, then, what is it like to kind of have scenes with him, and how he's focused as an actor, and he's quite physical too? Was it interesting to?
Yeah, it is. Of course, it's really inspiring to see an actor who works like that. He's such a hard worker. All the time he was working. He was spending his evenings in the gym, while the day, the whole morning and the whole day he would be shooting. So I don't even know when he had rest. He was just working. And of course, he is very focused on his part. Like he is, the moment he appears on the set, he's Bond.
Did he ever do Bond, James Bond? As a joke, did you ever talk to him about these? Like, can you do the Bond accent, or did he? Or was there any jokes on set, or is it kind of?
Oh, there were a lot of jokes, but not exactly these ones.
I would have asked him. Last question then. On this poster, the old Bond girls used to drape around, James Bond. You're not even looking at him, so that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty badass on your part. Is that exciting to be part of this almost new generation of a Bond girl? Then you're kind of setting a new page.
It definitely is. Definitely is. I'm really, as I said, I'm really lucky. I did, the James Bond film in 2008, because it started changing since Casino Royale, and it's. I think that's the direction it's gonna go in, and I think it's really. I'm very excited about that.
It's exciting to watch. Thank you very much. Nice talking to you.
And what of the main man himself? When you're James Bond, everyone wants to talk to you. Your anxious boss, implausibly attractive women, and of course the kind of villains for whom sadism isn't so much a character flaw as a lifestyle choice. Happily, though, a break in filming meant that I was able to share a little quality time on set with Mr. Daniel Craig, the definitive Bond for our times. Daniel, how lovely to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Thank you for having us here at Pinewood in this remarkable set. Whereabouts are we meant to be? Where will this be in the movie?
We're supposed to be in Bolivia, and we filmed the exterior of this hotel, which actually exists up in Chile, in the mountains of Chile, about 10,000 feet at the European Space Observatory up there. And it doesn't quite look like this inside, but it sort of has this feel to it, and we're going to blow it up.
You mentioned Peru, you mentioned Bolivia here, of course. You've travelled all over for this one, as they always do with the Bond movies. Do you actually get to see the places? Can you go out and visit these places? Is it fun for you, or is it
It depends. I've got to force myself out. If I stay indoors, I mean, the problem is that obviously we're filming all the time, so there's not an awful lot of time, but I have to get out and see things. So at the weekends I kind of make the time just to go and look at things. Otherwise things pass you by.
And do you have a yashmak or something you can put on, or perhaps a mask?
Yes.
It is a yashmak?
It is a yashmak, yeah.
So even so, though, those
sky blue,
those gimlet blue eyes will give you away, Mr. Craig.
Gimlet blue?
Well, I don't know what that means.
That's good, though.
I think I'm flirting with you.
Again.
Last time we were speaking, and it was the build-up to the first Bond movie, and of course there was a speculation about, will he make a good Bond, will the film be a success, and so on and so forth. And of course, there's no doubt anymore. But I imagine there's a different kind of pressure now.
The success of the last one was extraordinary, and obviously a huge relief for everybody, including me. But that means now we're sort of stuffed because we have to do better. But that's what this whole process has been about.
I floated the concept of Thunder Pussy as a title. Haven't heard back yet.
Are you floating it to me now?
Yeah. Look, for the next one.
I'm happy to go with that suggestion. I mean, it just might not be my choice.
Imagine the casting.
Yeah. So Quantum of Solace to Thunder Pussy.
Well, maybe keep Quantum of Solace, and the next one could be Thunder Pussy.
Sort of, AKA.
Make for a great song, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It's very exciting for us to be seeing the new Bond movie, of course, and it's a great cast around you.
Yeah.
I'm very keen to see the actor who's playing your main nemesis in this film, of course, who already has, made quite a name for himself. His last movie was exceptional.
He's just an amazing actor. And he has something about him that you could say is classically a Bond villain. He's got an evil energy. What can I tell you? And he does it, and he's using it, and he's playing it to the hilt.
Do you think that evil energy is just because he's French?
I couldn't possibly be drawn on that.
I'm going to stick my neck out.
All right, then go on.
Say it helps.
He'd agree, I think.
Well, good. I'm pleased to hear that. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
What do you do when you're hanging around the film set? Obviously, you're the centre of this movie. You're the lead role, but at the same time, there must be a lot of time when you're not required and you're still here. How do you feel that time?
Coming to talk to you.
Apart from the fun bits.
Yeah. It's really boring stuff. I've got kind of paperwork to do, or the equivalent of paperwork to do. I know it sounds really kind of, and then then I have kind of meetings and sort of telephone conversations to have. And if I'm not doing that, I'm lying flat.
In the last Bond movie, you kind of took him back to his roots a bit. There was that fabulous pre-title black and white sequence, and you really got a feeling of, the beginning, of course, and we saw different aspects of him. Are there different aspects of Bond's character that you're going to be bringing out this time that are in the script or that you hope to achieve?
I mean, yes, the answer is yes, but I'm not in any deliberate way. I'm not trying to bring out his sort of softer side, or I'm just, the situations that he's put into, I'm trying to react to as sort of like as real as possible, but also as Bond-like as possible, because we've now got to move things on a bit.
Obviously, like me, and I know this is noted on a regular basis, you're fabulously very fit and respected for your physique. Do you have a date penciled in for when filming finishes where you can just relax and pig out?
Problem is we've just been in Italy for 2 weeks, and I think I've eaten pasta and bread and pasta and bread.
You are looking a bit porky.
I am feeling a bit porky at the moment. So, but I think that for my own sanity, that's got to be.
You got to have some.
It's got to be, some cigars, a lot of red wine, a lot of.
Does Bond smoke anymore?
No, nobody does.
You have any regrets about signing on to do Bond?
No, not at all. I mean, how could you? I mean, there's obviously there's things to come. There's maybe whatever, but that's down the road, and who cares?
It's heartening to hear that.
Yeah, I've got to get on with it. I mean, and I'm completely realistic about it. Of course, there'll be someone else playing it one day, and hopefully better than I ever could, because that's the way it should be. So. but I'm just enjoying it for now and make it the best I can.
And when's the next one?
6 months after this one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Let's set the next one can all be set in South London.
That would be nice.
It's more like the Swede.
Was it near you? Oh, I don't know you were South London.
Dare you?
I love that.
Of all the things you've ever said, how dare you? You know, you can really go off people. I used to think you were quite a good
I'm
Bond.
warming to you, that's the thing.
Now I'm finding the blonde hair a problem. I never did before. Daniel, always a pleasure, never a chore. Thank you so much. Good luck with the movie. Not that you need it.
Nice to see you.
Great to see you.
Right.
Dominic Green.
Sounds good.
Any questions?
No.
So you have done this before?
No. Well, I kind of have. Yeah, I lie.
Oh, really?
He's an alumni.
An alumni, I love it. Welcome to Movies Phones Unscripted. I'm Mark Forster. I'm here with Daniel Craig to talk about our film Quantum of Solace. We're going to ask each other some questions, some of your questions, as well as some of our own. And I will start with the first question. Your Bond is an extremely physical character. How old is it too old to play Bond?
I think it'll be obvious when it's too old.
Like,
I think, yeah, when
I
can't walk anymore, I think it'll be obvious. I mean, I think you'll agree. It's like that thing, if you do it until if it doesn't feel right and it doesn't look right, then you stop. I mean, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree. And sometimes, you know, I guess it's one just feels that. I think it's a natural thing.
Or someone hopefully tells you.
Yes. Exactly.
Someone you trust.
Yeah.
So if there was one Bond villain in the past that you could write into the new series, who would it be and why?
I mean, I always liked sort of Jaws.
Did you?
Yes,
oh, wow.
because he's so over the top,
Oh, I see, yeah.
it's like in a sense like so cliche that
Yeah.
it wouldn't work with at all in our movie.
Yeah.
But
Although I think he
thought-
could have been an extra in one of the Bolivian bars, don't you? And nobody would have noticed.
Exactly. Yeah, we could have done that, but I just think, and I always loved Blofeld.
Yeah, no.
Because there was a nice touch to Blofeld.
Yeah.
And you know.
Well, maybe he'll return one day. I think it'll be quite
Yeah,
good. I mean,
yeah.
especially, we get the cat back in.
Yes, the cat is just like before I got involved when we met for the first time. Sort of how were you nervous? Like what kind of ideas is he going to have, or how because you did the character before? Or how did you feel about that?
I was very confident. I mean, you know, I'm a fan of your work, so that always was a kind of good starting place. Because I've done one of these before, and I know how long it takes to do and how much effort's put in, and the whole kind of psychological, emotional process that goes on within this 6-month period. Meeting you and knowing what you'd done, I had total confidence in your ability to survive.
But by the way, you didn't warn me about those.
No, well,
you didn't mention.
I mean, what do you say
what
to
I'm
somebody?
Gonna get into?
It's not going to be good. I mean, you can't. I mean, you know, certainly the last thing you want to do is get negative about it. But it just you can't really prepare somebody for it because I mean, you've made a lot of films. I've made a lot of films, and there's usually about a 3-month shooting period that you kind of work in. You work very hard, and it's over. At 3 months on a Bond movie, you're halfway through, and there's no way you can explain to somebody what that feels like. It's like you're just at the tip of the peak, and there's a long way down. But it's amazing, isn't it? Because we got to the last 2 weeks, and it felt like
you know one of the reasons actually I wanted to go to so many locations because I felt like
to keep busy.
Yes, to keep busy. That I'm always escaping from one location to the next.
No.
At least I don't feel the time pressure.
Did it work out like that?
Yeah, it's sort of mentally. It still kept me because it was like when we got back to Austria, I felt like a new beginning. What has been your worst acting job?
Thanks, Robin Brooklyn. And there's a few things that have been tough. There's a couple of early jobs I did that I'd rather forget, especially when trying to get my union card in England, which involved dressing up as all sorts of things. But I think the thing to do in acting is try to have as few regrets as possible. So you have to try and make the choices, but they happen. You've got to pay the rent. So there's a couple of films that I did.
You want to recommend a few?
No. This is why I don't want to talk about them really. If I can possibly help it, I don't want people to see them.
So let's mention not any titles.
But there was one film that it was a couple of films that I'd walk into Blockbusters and it would be on the shelf at the low end, and I'd always grab it and throw it throw it so nobody could find it. That is Arturo in Panama City. Oh, that's nice. Why did you choose Panama as the setting for Quantum of Solace? What was the biggest challenge you encountered while filming there?
I chose Panama because of Cologne, and Cologne is sort of, for the people who don't know where Cologne is, it's on the Caribbean side of the Panama Canal, and I think it's just such an incredible visual place, and the layers and textures and colors just inspired me, and I felt they would not just feel right for Haiti, but also they just had this incredible look to it, and I thought it would bring this incredible character to it.
It gave such an atmosphere on the set. I mean, we got warned about all sorts of things, didn't we, in Cologne? But and I'm sure, you know, there was danger there in some respects, but we got treated with such respect, and there seemed to be joy about the fact that we were there. And it did have a definite effect on the crew, didn't it? And I'm sure had then an indirect or direct effect on what's on screen.
If James Bond had to pick one Bond girl to spend the rest of his life with on a desert island, which one should he pick?
God.
I think Bond doesn't pick just one girl to
No, I
spend
know.
on a deserted island.
Why pick
Why
one?
would he? Why would Bond pick just one girl to spend on a deserted island?
It's difficult, isn't it? I mean, obviously the most practical and the most. I don't think there's too many to choose from. If we'd only done about 5 films, I think that there were 5 films in the history of it would be an easier choice. But there's so many Bond girls. You know, the sexiest, nicest, practical, most beautiful one of all. I can't think who that be. So there's many that would fulfill that criteria, I think.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think, but the Bond itself wouldn't actually spend the rest of his life with just with one girl.
I think the fact is that if they were stuck on a desert island, he'd find a way to get off. I mean, so
Yes.
whoever it was would, you know, hopefully, you know, just get involved with that.
You think the girl would get off, or you? I always wonder when in the action sequences we did, how is that when you're in a suit? And you're dealing with the flexibility of it and that stuff.
Well, we have
you?
with the suits we get made. I mean, obviously we've got sort of 10 repeats. I mean, you know, or at least 10 repeats of each suit, depending on what action sequence we're doing. But we always get at least 2 sizes. One which fits perfectly and is all tailored in and looks good, and then another one which is maybe 2 sizes bigger, that we can put all the padding in underneath. Tom Ford's tailoring is particularly good, so in fact, very rarely could you actually see when I'm wearing the padding. And they didn't. I mean, they stood up. I mean, we set them on fire and ripped them and tore them, and they stood up.
But you never felt in the jackets uncomfortable to move?
No, that was very much about a lot of the work we put in before we started shooting with the costume department was to you know, to get it out and wear them and make sure that there was no restrictions. I mean, they did. You know, they fell to pieces at times, but that was usually only because someone had cut them or sort of to make them rip. So they lasted quite well. Is that Tom Ford? Right. Okay. If you could perform the next Bond song, who would you choose for the duet?
I think that's probably it's a tough one, but
Maria Callas.
Huh?
Maria Callas.
Maria Callas is a very good. Maybe Celine Dion.
Yeah, pushing the boat out now.
Like I think she would have sort of my voice range.
Yeah, I think she would. Yeah,
I think
you could keep up with her.
Yes, I think I could.
Right.
Yes. What's the best part about playing James Bond?
The truth, I think, I mean, there's lots of things. I mean, the obvious things are, you know, that having lovely suits, locations, and driving beautiful cars, and all those things. They're given as far as I'm concerned. But for me, genuinely, it's the collaborative process. We work, and we get to work with some of the best people in the business on a big movie, which is rare. I mean, and could considerably be rarer in the future. And that whole process for me of being on set with you and the crew and the actors, and achieving something like that, it just gives me the biggest kick. It's a really good job, and I try and enjoy every second of it when I'm filming. Oh, there we go.
Thank you, Thank you,
darling.
Thank you, darling. Thank you, Daniel, Movie Phone, and to you for watching and sending in your questions. And please check out our film Quantum of Solace, because we both, I think, you know, the world of it. But I actually made the Bond film I always wanted to see, so I'm really happy with it.
Nice.
Impress me.
Shall we? Quantum of Solace is the #1 movie in the world. What were you expecting? Daniel Craig proves he's the best Bond ever. It's a compliment. Quantum of Solace. Rated PG-13. Now playing everywhere.
The film received mixed reviews, with praise for Craig's performance and the action sequences, but was deemed too inferior to its predecessor.
It's all over the shop.
I mean, it is a mess and a half of a film. Let's attempt to do this systematically. Let's start where it starts. Theme tune, rubbish. Can't hum it, can't remember it, can't sing it. Worst theme tune since Duran Duran's View to a Kill.
Thanks, Grandad.
No, sorry, fine. Do me the theme tune.
No, I can't. It's rubbish.
Yeah, thank you very much, okay? And I don't care what anybody else says. Alicia Keys, Jack White. No.
There's no tune.
No, I mean, in fact, it's funny because in the wake of it, I did go back and listen to View to a Kill, which I'd always thought, which was so terrible, and thought, actually, no, at least View to a Kill's got something in it. No, it's all over the place. Second title, rubbish. Taken from a story which this has nothing to do with, and I'm sorry, if you call something Quantum of Solace, there needs to be a point at which you go, oh, okay, that's a really clever thing to have called it, rather than it's like Pond of Wood. Fish of trees. It is. Sorry, there we go.
Pond of Wood is good.
Yeah, it is. But Quantum of Solace in relation to this particular Bond film, where is the quantum of what's the solace and where's
right at the end you get a reference to quantum.
Yeah, where's the solace?
There's not a lot of solace in
No, fine. I could say Journey to Mars and say, well,
no,
at some
Pond
point,
of Wood is much better.
Okay, the new Bond movie, Pond of Wood. But here's the main problem. You can't sing me the title. You can't sing me the song. You can't explain the title. We should say that we saw this in the same screening, right? Tell me the story.
Well, that's the other. Well,
tell me the story.
There's the other thing.
There's the go on.
Well,
what's the story?
Well, it kind of picks up from a couple of hours after the end of the last movie.
Yeah, I already did that in the setup. What's the story? What happens then?
Well, can you do that?
No, because we all sat there with the same thought, and the thought was this: do I not know what's going on because it's incomprehensibly told? Or do I not know what's going on because I don't care? Now, the interesting thing is this:
the former.
Yeah. Well,
I wanted
to understand, but I found that actually, after a certain point, I just didn't care, and that is the crucial problem here: is you stop caring. Now, look. There is a backstory to this, which is there was a point when Roger Michel was kind of in negotiations for all of this, and he was saying that he said at that point, and I'm quoting, he said, I was very nervous, there was a start date, but really no script at all. Okay, the start date was later pushed back, got in a different director, Paul Haggis came in. Paul Haggis apparently finished the rewrites just before the writer's strike, and there was rewrites rumoured to be going on during the actual production itself, and then, of course, there were stories about what did or didn't happen in the cutting room. In the end, we never know what happens in the background of a movie. All you know is what's on screen. And what's on screen is this. It's a film which is helmed by serious dramatists, by a director who does characters, written by somebody who does, characters and plot. And yet, it actually looks like a film that's largely directed by the second unit. I mean, interestingly enough, the second unit director, who's Dan Bradley, who did the Bourne movies, if anything, is the auteur of this film. Because the chase sequences, which are incredibly Bourne-inflected, those are the thing. It's like the movie, it's got these heavyweight dramatists, it's got Daniel Craig, a good actor, it's got a character director, it's got a proper screenwriter, and then it just loses its nerve and goes into bang smash action stuff. It begins with not one but two chase sequences before we even start doing anything to do with plot or development. And here's the big problem. If you look at the Bourne movies, the second unit stuff is absolutely brilliant, but crucially, the second unit stuff is all held together by Paul Greengrass. Greengrass is a director who understands drama and action, and he understands the two things. This is one of you go, why is this film being directed by that director? Because clearly he does not know how to marshal these two things. He can't bring together the character and the action, so what the film keeps doing is just flipping back into explosive action because it can't do anything else, and that is a really bizarre thing. I mean, you're meant to think, what's the key to this great Chinatown-like mystery which is unfolding? You don't. What you think is the mystery is, why is it being helmed by this guy who so clearly hasn't got a handle on the material? So you get into the... Now, second thing is, despite the fact that there's an awful lot of violence... And
how many things are there to get to?
There's a few.
There's a second of what? Just so we can pace ourselves.
Let's say three, okay.
So we're halfway through, are we?
Yeah. Obviously we're losing time now because you keep...
And what is the second unit? What do they do?
It's the guy... Okay, you get the main direction stuff, which is the character, the main actor. Yeah. Second unit is action, really. Other stuff.
Other stuff. Okay, second of 3 points now.
Yeah, fine. There's no pain. And that's a real problem. The thing that had made Casino Royale work was it hurt. When you had those fight sequences, they hurt. In the BBFC's ruling on this film, it says it contains frequent fast and furious action sequences, including high-speed chase sequences and plain dogfights with plenty of gunfire and explosions. In most cases, there are few human casualties visible in the scenes, and where people are hurt, there's little or no focus on the blood. And actually, funnily enough, they've cut right to the heart of it. There's no pain. In Casino Royale, you felt like people were losing things. You felt like people... In this film, despite how much they talk about loss, despite how much they talk about him not being able to get over the trauma of what happened in Casino Royale, there is no trauma. This stuff is running at you, and you're thinking, why am I not feeling in any way endangered? Why am I not feeling in any way involved? Why don't I care more? Now, even worse, at one point I found myself thinking, if it wasn't James Bond in these fight sequences, this would be a Jason Statham movie. And suddenly, it would be, it's just guys in a room banging each other's head against walls. But not in the way that in Casino Royale you thought, oh crikey, they're going to get hurt, which is actually what always made On Her Majesty's Secret Service the most interesting Bond movie up until that point, despite the fact that what's his name was clearly rubbish as Bond and ended up being in the George Lazenby ended up being in the straight to television Emmanuel series with. I mean, if that was how his career went after Bond, it was. There's no physical result of any of this stuff. It's just like watching Teletubbies bouncing around in a padded cell, because in the end nobody really gets hurt, despite the fact they keep third point is
of three.
Third point is, I'm sitting there thinking that people keep bringing up the product placement thing. I've got a list of all the product placement, but you know what? I can't be bothered to read it. I can't be bothered to read it because of this. When I was watching Casino Royale, when he did the ka-ching moment with the watch, right? It was like,
is that a Rolex?
It's a shame, because up until that point I was in the scene. With this, I wasn't in the scene. So when the ka-ching stuff started interrupting it, there was nothing for it to interrupt. I mean, almost the worst criticism of the film is the product placement didn't bother me because I wasn't involved enough in the film to be bothered by the product placement taking me out of the fantasy of the film. And when the adverts don't interrupt the program, you know the program isn't up to snuff. And believe me, I take no pleasure in saying this. I think Daniel Craig is the best Bond, and I'm sure that he will carry on being great and he will do more brilliant work. And it may well be that the Bond, I'm sure the movie will take loads and loads of money, and you can't deny this because I spoke to you afterwards.
I rang you up.
It's a mess.
I rang you up because I thought, is it just me? Because I came out feeling very, very disappointed and completely confused by the whole thing, thinking, well, if the story is what I think it wasn't much of a story anyway once I worked it out, but why did it take so long to try and work out what the story was?
And yet it wasn't long. It's 106 minutes. It felt long. It felt long. I mean, the other thing I have to confess, there was one moment in the middle of blowing something up in the middle of a desert. I felt the heavy eyelids happening, and that's never good in a chase
let's
sequence.
Take some travel. There's another clip, and there's a bit of
no, because we got to go to do Ghost Town. I mean, in a way, the saddest thing is I have nothing else to say.
I don't believe
because
for a moment
I want to embrace this. I mean, I can't tell you how much I want to tell you. I was so pleased when Casino Royale was great, and I love Daniel Craig. I can't lie to you. I just can't lie to you.
Would you lie to me?
All over. Would you lie to me, honey? High School Musical 3 is a better film.
David Arnold, who composed the scores for the previous 4 Bond films, returned for Quantum of Solace. Jack White of the White Stripes and Alicia Keys collaborated on Another Way to Die, the first Bond music duet. The song was released with a promotional campaign for Coke Zero.
I thought I could trust you.
You don't have to worry about me. In 4 days, bring Bond home. Quantum of Solace, Tuesday.
Quantum of Solace was released on DVD and Blu-ray by MGM via 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment in Australia, the UK and North America from the 18th to 24th of March in 2009. .007 Quantum of Solace is a 2008 shooter video game published by Activision. Based on the James Bond films Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, it was developed by Treyarch for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 and by Beanox for the Microsoft Windows and the Wii, and it is mostly played as a first-person shooter with occasional switches to third-person. Eurocom developed a similar version for the PlayStation 2 and the DS.
My name's Garrett Young. I'm the executive producer on the Bond team. James Bond is a very beloved property. As they say, Bond is that man that every man wants to be and every woman wants to be with. This is the first Bond game with Daniel Craig as Bond. This is the first Bond game on next-gen platforms, so we get to do things in our game that haven't been seen in a James Bond game ever before. So that's an exciting thing and an exciting opportunity for us.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Ludes, and I'm one of the design directors. The film production team disclosed many things to us, whether it be screenshots from the film, anything from dailies or models. What that means for the game is that we have gone through authentically and tried to recreate moments in the game so that people can feel what the movie is like.
We've gotten thousands of photos from the set of the new movie and hundreds of photos from Casino Royale, so it's really helped a tremendous amount. We are going to record voice for all the major characters, and all the real actors' voices will be in our game.
The name's Bond.
James Bond.
Most of our scenes in our game will be scenes that gamers will recognize from the movies, but there are some interesting things that we're doing in between scenes of the movies to make it more of an interactive gameplay experience.
You get to take the active role in what Bond is going to do in that sequence you watched happen. So when Bond made that choice to either go through the door or not, simply instead of watching through that movie, that's your choice now. We can make sure that we're creating the most authentic experience, detailed and directly related to the information they've given to us.
The amount that they've been open with us and trusted us with this information well before the movie has come out has been a great thing, and it's going to make our game that much better. When it comes to getting the characters' likenesses in the game, it's a pretty long, involved process.
The talent will sit down in a chair, and a laser will come around, and that laser is collecting 3D data. We bring that data back here to the studio, and then our artists then create the models, create normal maps, and texture them. So this is Daniel Craig. This is his high-resolution 3D scan data right here. Most characters in video games have about 3 or 4 textures. We're actually using 7 to make Bond's face look good. Creating the character models of the Bond women is quite a fun task indeed.
Have you done this before?
I really wonder what it's going to look like. I love that one.
We scan the heads just as we do with the other characters. We got Eva Green and Camille and M even. It was actually a lot of fun.
Wow. Oh, wow, it's great. This is so cool.
Guys, that's amazing. That's me. That's officially me.
Chris Soares, art director for the Bond team.
Alex Bortoluzzi, and I'm a photographer for the team.
When we're putting a character together, we have an understanding of how it's all going to get mapped.
We started with a shot list so we can actually map the head perfectly and photograph every single angle possible.
And when a face moves, you have all these muscles that kind of create a smile or create a frown. So we're using Alex's photographs to get all those details right.
No, sorry, that's not fair.
It is a trick. This is all brand new technology that we use, and you have to talk them through it so they feel comfortable doing it.
When you start filming and suddenly somebody comes to be your stand and you think, oh, joke. Who's that tall person?
Someone like Judi Dench comes in, it just kind of rocks you out of your world a little bit.
She exudes this confidence, and it's like, now we know why she's M.
M's role in James Bond is bossing James Bond about a lot. Not that he takes that much notice of her, actually. It nevertheless consists of lots of the scenes I've already done. There's very, very few lines that I didn't actually say in Casino Royale or Quantum of Solace. You suddenly see kind of an old friend coming up to meet you. And so it was, not so foreign to me. Hello. Chris.
You want to just move with your eyes closed, please?
I can't work an ironing board. I certainly can't work a computer. But my grandson is absolutely brilliant at it. It's terrific for him. So he can't wait to get it. And I can't wait to see him play it.
So the first steps when it comes to making a game like ours is sitting down with the people making the movie and understanding the script that is being written, getting a great understanding of the characters and of the overall story that we're bringing to life. We have been working really closely with the filmmakers. They've been hugely supportive and hugely helpful. We would not be able to make this game as good as it is and as it will be without their help. They invited us on set 3 times, so we got to see them do some filming of Casino Royale, and then twice for Quantum of Solace we've been out on set.
So it's great to see, the real deal. We're going to be getting photographs of that later on today, and looking forward to bringing that back to my art team so that they can build that space. It's going to be great. Authenticity is the big thing for our project this time around, and we want to really make sure that we're nailing that exactly right.
I consider myself really lucky to be the first movie game I've worked on, and it's with guys that have been so, embracing us with open arms and really helping us do what we need to do to build this game. The environments are an exciting part of this game. It is where you exist, it's where the story is told, and it's where you pursue and accomplish your mission as James Bond. Most of our scenes in our game will be scenes that gamers will recognize from the movies.
I'm the money.
Every penny of it.
When we create it as a video game, we just can't simply create the hallway that James Bond is in. We need to create the hallway and the world that exists outside of the hallway that shows you that you're in this real place that ties everything in the world together.
They've given us thousands of photos of Quantum of Solace so that we can take their scenes that they're building either at Pinewood in London or on location, take those scenes, and then create our interactive environments for the game. There's a huge variety of environments. You don't honestly see that in as many first-person shooters, but it also is part of the advantages that we have in working closely with the movie guys, so we have so much more data and reference and so many more ideas to pull from for the environments.
My name is Brian Douglas. I'm a level designer. First stages of building a level don't exist on the computer. You do it on paper, you do it in discussion, you get a basic concept to work with, and you say, all right, how can we make something fun out of this concept? We outline it, we lay it down, we draw out a basic map, and we sort of describe how it's going to work with the gameplay. Find reference shots, capture it. Once we have it all, we go in and we start laying it down. In very basic forms, blocks, we spend a lot more time redesigning things constantly. Everything from the movie that the player is going to recognize, you put in the game. Then we start putting in the details, making the buildings look real, really placing things in the world that make the world come to life. The power of the next-gen technology is its ability to process things better and faster, drive the graphics to greater depths, and really immerse you in the world. The things you're going to encounter are cool.
With the Bond game, we knew we wanted to focus on content and excelling at the content and taking features further ahead. What that meant was we needed a strong foundation. And what better foundation to have than Game of the Year, Call of Duty 4?
The number of technical hurdles that we'll have in building this game will be much lower than if we had built from scratch. One of the things that using the Call of Duty 4 engine has really helped us with, figuring out what we want to do and what we can do within this technology and with the tool set we have available to really bring Bond to life. We've added this third-person cover combat. Anytime you see Bond in the game, that's new technology that we've added on top of the Call of Duty 4 engine. That's something that we did because we know that gamers not only want to play as Bond and be Bond as they play our game, but they want to see Bond on screen also. Another one of the ways that we are building on top of the COD 4 engine is in our AI system. It's no longer a scripted AI, it's much more of a dynamic AI that reacts and interacts to you in the world as you move through it as James Bond.
We're very, very fortunate to be able to work with an amazing engine.
When you jump into the game, you are looking through the eyes of James Bond. You are Bond. Bond as a character is very resourceful. One of the biggest things is that Bond's greatest weapon is his mind. He is very often outmanned, almost always outgunned, and so he needs to use his mind to get through a situation. You are Bond in our game, and so you have very much the same tools to your disposal to make decisions and how you approach a situation. You can decide, okay, I'm going to come in guns a-blazing. This is how I enjoy playing. This is how I think Bond would do it.
We kind of think to ourselves, what would Bond do? Kind of how he would move, because he's very specific. He's got this style about him. We've been studying his facial movements, his body language, the way his body moves. We're trying to translate that overall attitude. So when you see Bond, you think, oh, that's very Bond. He's not some kung fu hero. He's not a thug.
One of the important things in this game is to really feel like James Bond. And gamers will feel that because as a first-person game, right when you jump into the game, you are looking through the eyes of James Bond. You are Bond.
Hey, what's up, IGN? It's Mike Thompson from Insider, and we're here at Treyarch Studios. You're going to get a special behind-the-scenes look at the upcoming Bond game, Quantum of Solace. Let's go see what they're working on. Quantum of Solace is actually the first true Bond sequel. It actually picks up where Casino Royale leaves off. I think the biggest lesson learned in terms of when you're making movie games is to get in very early on and really understand what they're going after with their movie, with their character. And in this case, we've had the benefit of working with the movie guys since Casino Royale. So we got in real early and really got to take away what it was that this new Bond was all about. You know, he was definitely a different Bond than the other Bonds. He's, you know, a bit more gritty and, you know, he was intense.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
One of the key challenges for us was that we wanted you to be able to play as Bond, but also to be able to see Bond, because let's face it, Daniel Craig and Bond, he's just so cool. You know, we know that the Call of Duty 4 engine does first person better than anyone. So we have that foundation, and on top of that foundation, we had to make some pretty intense changes to the technology to allow for that third person character and the ability to be able to seamlessly kind of move from I'm Bond to like, hey, it reminds me I'm playing Daniel Craig.
So our team is really large right now. We've got over 90 people just in our building, and then there's 50 people from a support standpoint. This team has a kind of a next gear that I haven't seen before, and the effort that these guys put in is amazing. At this point, as far as the day-to-day goes, I'm really focused on two things. One is playing a hell of a lot of the game and looking at what we have and poking holes at it, seeing a lot of bugs and working with guys on bugs. And then the second part is really the fires. It's putting out the fires and how do we make this better? How do we make this look better? How do we make this play better? Here, oh my gosh, this is way too hard at this difficulty level. How do we tune this back? So that's really what the day-to-day looks like 7 days a week. This is where the magic happens. This is not quite as sexy as a Bond movie. So this is the office of Adam Rosas, our lead animator.
In our game with our AI, what we're trying to do is we're trying to sell a certain silhouette. And that silhouette, in a subconscious kind of way, would tell the player, what's the AI thinking? Is he aware that I'm around him? Is he kind of suspicious? Or is he full alert, ready to take me on? This is one of the test maps that we got from the programmers. So we have our thugs here. We have green, where nothing's going on, they have no idea you're there. Yellow, where he's a little suspicious, guns up a little higher. Then you have red, where he's practically aiming, almost ready to attack you. Because if you move too fast in our game and you make too much noise, they're going to hear you and look over their shoulder. So it encourages you to be more stealth. I mean, being able to read the body language tells you everything.
My name is Jeremy Ludes, and I'm one of the co-directors on Quantum of Solace. So what we have here is a concept art from one of the levels you're going to be playing called Casino Royale. Looking at this particular screenshot, you'll notice that in the background we have a moon, we have a light hue of white coming over across the top of all the geometry, and then it goes off into a dark sky. But then everything south of that is going to be geometry that we're going to build out into the world. And what that allows us to do is it allows us to create a full gameplay experience that the player really thinks that he's in a real living world. The next shot we're going to be showing you is a shot of the spa. This is our 3D tool that basically allows us to create all of the geo of the world. So you can see it's got no lighting, it doesn't look like anything like it would from those particular mood shots or the concept art. You'll notice things like little blue diamonds, those little blue diamonds are our lights. Let's go take a look at it and see what it looks like in-game. This basically gives you guys an idea of how closely we actually nail the vision of what it looks like in concept to the editor to getting it in-game.
So this is our sound design room. If you're getting any of the audio, you can tell from some of these rooms there's already a lot of recording going on right now.
My name is Jerry Berlangieri. I'm the audio director on Quantum of Solace. I have a very talented crew of 6 sound designers. About 90% of what you're hearing in Quantum of Solace is original material. For example, something like at the beginning of the casino level, you're in an elevator. And the sounds with Bond, if he bangs against the walls, you kind of hear the rattle of that elevator. So we recorded it from the perspective, it's the elevator here at Treyarch. And we discovered this when we were actually recording the sounds of the elevator shaking, that if you do it enough times, an alarm starts to blare. And we figured that would be a good sonic moment too, that would give you an opportunity to maybe lure one of these mercs over here. And it's kind of thinking like Bond, because we definitely see him do that in the movies. The really neat thing about Bond is there's a lot of contrast. You've got those really loud moments, and you've got hallways that you can kind of sneak through, where we can put the focus on something like a grandfather clock that's clicking in the corner. So sonically and musically, they all kind of come together to try to suggest the pacing and tempo for the player.
All right, well, there you have it. That's Quantum of Solace. Hope you guys liked it. We'll see you next time.
Hello?
Mr. White?
Yes, who's this?
The name is Bond. James Bond. We need to talk.
Care to reconsider, Mr. Bond? Kill him! He's in the garden! Go! He can't be far! Move!
Tanner, what do you see?
There's a gate at the bottom of the garden. You can use it to circle round and get back to the house. You see the gate, 007. Hack the lock and head towards the boathouse.
There are some at MI6 who think I can't trust you. That you're blinded by inconsolable rage. And motivated by revenge. But your motivation isn't my only concern. What concerns me are your methods.